All right.
Fate point.
Let's see. So, I'll be honest. I don't think in 27 years I've ever actually done a session 0. So,
Oh, that's good. This is my first one too.
yeah.
Same.
It's one of those things that, they talk about a lot. Like how Matt Mercer tells his players, "I love you" all the time. Like you're supposed to like positive energy kind of deals. So yeah.
So is this your roundabout way of saying you love us?
No.
No, he doesn't love us.
No, definitely not. But I am curious to see if it is a useful resource. So, plus Foundry is a real motherfucker to get set up on. So if anything, we could always just spend time getting everybody set up on Foundry. But there are actual Session 0 guides. So I was gonna follow one of these Session 0 guides, see if that helps.
And I think it's really important. We should definitely stream this.
Oh, we're it's happening right now. Yeah,
that's why you told us not to talk about it.
Yeah,
bad stuff.
I had to go get some food though because I was very hungry. Nothing.
Sadie might regret later.
All right. This is Haze Zero's Session 0 topic list and guide that we're going to follow.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going to post it over in the chat so people can play along at home. All right. Perhaps you're a new DM, or perhaps you're a veteran whose soul has shriveled to dust. That's me. All right. This is more than a checklist. This is an existential experience. Blah, blah, blah. Prune or add to this list. We don't need instructions. Let's just jump into here. All right. Topic list, experience points. You guys are doing milestones.
Wow.
The end.
We're starting from the top.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna run through this whole fucking list so I can say I have done a Session 0. I don't want anybody to say that I haven't. So
can you tell me what experience points are first?
Nope, because we're not using them, so you don't need to learn it. Yeah.
But what do I put in the XP section of my character sheet?
Put the word milestones.
What if I don't know how to spell that?
No one cares about your spelling in Dungeons and Dragons. This is an environment of love and understanding and care. So, as long as you know what you wrote, that's all that matters.
No. Yeah, that's fair.
But if you fuck up your macros with typos, that does matter. So just keep that in mind. All right. Yeah, we're using milestones. From what I've heard, feedback from the Monday group, they're incredibly unfair and spaced very far apart. So that's good to know. How do you level up? You will have to take a long rest to level up. As per the Giffyglyphs system, that long rest will take a week. So I have adjusted the timeline of the game and the narrative of the game to adapt to a slower burn campaign. So there will be more time to visit other places and do other things. You could already see, if you zoom in on the map, that there are 2 new towns that don't exist for the Monday group, Mios and Woodhike. So already, you guys have more content than those Monday guys. They don't have the good stuff like you do. Of course, they also, aren't playing with the brutal Giffyglyph system. So, anyways, player behavior, game behavior, DM expectations, alcohol. We're all libertarians here. Fuck yeah, America, freedom. Whatever you do to your body is your business. But if what you're doing to your body makes you an unpleasant person to play D&D with, then we're going to mute your mic. And if it happens a lot, we're just not going to play with you anymore. So that's all I have to say about that. Cell phones and digital devices. I would like for this campaign for you guys to use your computers. I think that will be beneficial to the campaign if you guys were using your computers.
No, fuck that. I'm showing up at your house every week.
Oh, it's a long drive. It's a long drive. All right. Player attention. What happens if a player is constantly distracted? well, that sucks for you. Still gonna keep your money. Disruptive topics. Are real life topics like religion, politics, porn, or sex okay at your table? This is actually a pretty good question. What about sports? Well,
Oh, get that out of
whoa.
here.
Yeah, I was okay until you said that. All right, let's see. In all seriousness, this is 2020. The world is on fire. This campaign deals with religion, politics, porn, sex, and sports. Those are all covered by this campaign. So there will be those will actually be topics that take place in this game. There is even an NPC who is startlingly similar to a real world political figure that all of you know and most of you probably don't like. That is completely a coincidence. But yeah. I guess the best thing to put for this is that put it up front. This is a mature game. It is based on ancient Greece and written by the dudes, the white dudes, who made Mass Effect and the OG Baldur's Gate and Star Wars: Old Republic. So like, if you've played those games, you know that these dudes don't shy away from some effed up stuff sometimes. So add to that ancient Greece, where the best example of ancient Greece heroics is in order to delay a pursuing enemy, a famous Greek hero, I believe it was Jason, took the child they had kidnapped and chopped him up into the tiniest pieces he could and scattered them behind the ship, knowing that in order to honor their dead leader's son or whatever, they would have to stop and pick up all the pieces of him.
It's hardcore.
Yeah. So alignment is very malleable in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
There.
Wait, so was this what
All right, so real
what sort
quick,
of alignment would
what
this action
class
be?
would we say Jason the Argonaut was?
Oh,
He's
he's
definitely a
totally
paladin.
I think Jason was probably an Odyssean rogue. I think they were all Odyssean rogues.
So is that like chaotic good? Chaotic
Okay,
neutral?
Okay,
I
chopping up the baby, but with valid reason, that feels chaotic neutral to me.
yeah, so he's definitely chaotic neutral. He's definitely a chaotic neutral hero, which is very hard to pull off, if we're being honest. I want you to take the Dungeons and Dragons alignment system, and I want you to throw it in the toilet, flush the toilet, and walk away. Because you guys you represent the settlers of Thylea. So your alignment is judged by the settlers of Thylea. This means that if you ran into a bunch of evil fae, quote unquote evil fae, and you went full Anakin Skywalker and you murdered all of them, the people, right? The people, that is to say, the settlers, they would either be like, hell yeah, or they would be like, it was a necessary evil to stop a greater evil. Hashtag thoughts and prayers, right? Yeah. Very few citizens would be like, you're bad. Now, you know, as educated and woke individuals, that there had to have been a better solution than wholesale going full sail Anakin on everybody. But the setting itself, the people that you represent, the people that you are the heroes of, they would be like, you know, it is what it is. Got to watch out for settlers. Settlers' lives more important than everybody else's lives. That is who's holding you accountable at the beginning of the campaign for morals. How you develop throughout the campaign is completely unique to your character and your group, what you experience, what you learn about the history of the world, about the history of your people and their place in it and all that kind of stuff. But initially, off the cuff, very much like settlers first, settlers best. That's your moral compass, unfortunately. Unfortunately. So there is a theme throughout the campaign of do better, right? Be better, do better. So the bar is set very low for heroes in Thylea. Heroes get results, period. That seems to be sort of the standard they're going for. If you are called to be more than that, I definitely encourage you to do so. But if you're wondering about alignment, that's how it is. They care about results that are beneficial to the settler races. Period. That's the moral compass of the world, unfortunately.
All right.
So
All
are
right.
we self-assigning alignment, or is that going to be something that you sort of give us based off of how
Your
what we've been doing
alignment,
is viewed?
yeah, your alignment will continue to shift and change as you go. There are a lot of people who put, Republican on their voter registration card, but are not Republicans. There are a lot of Christians, believe it or not, that tell people they are Christians, but are definitely not Christians. So yeah, you can put on your voter card whatever alignment you want. But if the time came to test alignment, if there was like an artifact that was like, I only work for lawful good people, it would very much be weighed like Anubis with the heart and the feather. It would very much be weighed against your deeds on a cosmological level, but also on a cultural level. Like, do you represent those values culturally? Do you also represent those values in the broader spectrum of the universe, essentially? Now, the benefit of playing in a small demiplane like Thylea is, of course, your broad universe is only Thylea. So it's sort of the universal good and the cultural good, if they are in line with the good that the artifact feels is good. It's very complicated. Then yes, you would meet those requirements. Those sorts of things are very few and far between. I generally do not go in for good guys get a +5 and bad guys get a -2 kind of bonuses and stuff like that, because I feel like there's no one that is wholly good or wholly evil, etc., etc. So
That's all our son.
yeah. Now, all of that
Except
being
for
said,
Kubo.
this game has all the bad stuff. I personally, as the DM, do not want any rape in the campaign. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't want any of that in the game. So anywhere that it would seem obvious that some early Game of Thrones rapey stuff should have happened, it didn't happen. Why did it happen? It just never occurred to anyone in my campaign settings ever that was something that they could or should do. I just wash it out. Doesn't happen. So
I gotta mark some stuff off the
yeah,
character sheet real quick.
So
folks.
that doesn't happen. That being said, murdering babies, betraying people, punching gods in the throat, having orgies with centaurs, getting that big horse dick, all that's fine. Everything's on the table as far as I'm concerned. And that it's a mature rated game, it's a mature rated stream. We're all adults. You need to tell me so that I can let everyone else know, or tell everyone, right now, if you're not embarrassed to talk about it, if there are any lines in the sand that you draw, any limits, any things that would be uncomfortable for you, would be, no joking around here, like that would be triggers for things that may have happened in your life that you don't want to re-experience. Keeping in mind that sometimes role-playing can get very intense and very immersive, and if it's a very bad thing that happened that you don't want to revisit, this could dredge it up very, very quickly. So if there is anything like that you need to avoid, just let me know, and I'll make sure to not have that in the campaign. So, and the other thing is, do not be afraid to just say we need to pause the game, because if anything's happening in the game, even if I'm on a roll and I'm just going crazy and the scene's really good, or another player is just like loud and boisterous and they're taking the scene in a really cool direction, if it's not a good direction for you, you need to just put it out there and say, we need to stop for a second, and then we'll stop, we'll mute, we mute the stream, we'll pause the stream, pause the game, we'll pause everything. You can talk to me one-on-one, we could talk as a group and sort out whatever uncomfortable thing has happened, or confusing thing, or whatever, because I don't want anybody to just go along to get along and then have those sour feels that they're carrying around with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so to
Sounds
sum it
good.
up, we'll stop. Wait, fuck, never mind. I lost the train of thought.
Well, like maybe you didn't know that children being murdered was going to upset you so much. But there are many, 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 many children murdered in this adventure.
Oh man, now that's concerning.
There's a
No, yeah, just
lot of children get killed in this adventure. Okay, so if we come to one of those horrible scenes of child murder, and you're like, "Hey, whoa, that, all right, we will stop, and we'll figure it out." I don't want anybody to feel like they're getting dragged through something that they are not comfortable with. So
yeah, or maybe like the DM throws a bunch of kobolds in front of your kobold grave cleric, and they want to eat a baby, and then you're just like, well, I guess I'm gonna eat a baby now.
Look, I read your LinkedIn profile, and you have 7 referrals for baby eating IRL, so I felt like that was definitely not outside of your comfort zone. All right. So that's the
Not trying to be funny,
right.
But do we like need a safe word or anything, or do you just want us to?
No, just say, hey, can we pause? Yeah, can we pause? Yeah, can we pause the game real quick? Can we? Yeah, like this doesn't need to be any safe word. Just say, hey, can we pause the game real quick?
That being said, if you're more comfortable with a safe word, definitely feel free to come up with one with all of us, whether it's in Discord or right now or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Whatever's more comfortable.
All right, so unannounced roles. Okay. Don't go. Just this is a tricky situation. Most of you are so seasoned by now of D&D that I know that you would only make a roll if that roll was like an obvious thing that I was about to ask for, kind of thing, and you just want to keep the pace of the game moving and all that kind of stuff. I reserve the right as your DM to reject any roll if I would not have actually asked for it. So if you get overexcited and you're like, wha-ha! And you like throw out a roll, and I'm like, why'd you throw that roll out there? I could just be like, I don't care that you just rolled a natural 20. Like nobody was asking for any rolls. So just you keep that in mind. Like, I'm not gonna like be like, don't give me any dice rolls unless I ask for them. But for the most part, you'll know when you need to roll dice, when you don't need to roll dice. Honestly, through good role playing and good ideas, you could skip a lot of dice rolling. I mean, I have a lot of players who I think might have gambling addiction issues. Like, there are times where I really don't want you to roll because I want you to succeed, and you just role played so well that the last thing I want is Jesus to show up and force me to make up a reason why your incredible Braveheart speech didn't work. You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes I'm not even going to ask for a dice roll because you just did such a good job as a role player in a role playing game that I'm just like, sweet, we just keep going. Yeah, a great example of this is you may have played with it before, Larionis. Larionis is a great role player.
Why is Larionis always brought up when it comes to really bad rolls?
Yeah, and he's a great role player, and he's very smart, and he knows what to say to NPCs to get what he wants, and then he says, what do I need to roll? And it's like, well, I wish you just kept your fucking mouth shut, because you don't need to roll anything. But now that you asked if you needed to roll, you're going to fail, and we just wasted everybody's time with that amazing roleplay, because it's not going to pan out, because you always roll terrible. So yeah, like sometimes you could just be in the moment, and watch as the narrative just moves all by itself. We don't need the dice for everything. The dice are there to help us in times where we don't know how it would turn out. But sometimes I know as the DM how this NPC feels, what triggers are there for the NPC that would make them more likely or less likely. If you've DM'd a lot of pre-written adventures, sometimes they include that when they have an encounter, a social encounter. They'll say, if the PCs mention X, Y, or Z, they don't need to make a check. Or if they do X, Y, or Z, they'll have advantage to their persuasion check. That kind of stuff is constantly happening in the background. So don't think you have to be prepped to roll dice, because you don't always have to. Also, in our campaign, we're doing blind rolls for a lot of stuff, which there is a macro for that. If you go to the book in the top right of your screen, there's the right-hand side tab, there's the tabs or whatever. There's a book that has like a little globe on it, and then there should be a folder called macro. and then there should be a folder called Macro Shared, and inside that you will see Daredevil, and it says Roll Skill, and you could drag that down to your World of Warcraft bar at the bottom, your macro bar, and then anytime you need to do a blind roll, you click on Daredevil, and then that will pop up a special menu that tells you like what skill do you want to roll. Are you rolling with advantage? Are you rolling with bless? Is it a blind roll to the DM? So that automates all that, so you don't have to go over to chat, toggle it to blind, then make the roll, then toggle it back to public. You could just use that macro. So, all right. Let's see. Dice rolls against another. Are dice rolls allowed to be used to settle in-character arguments? Can the PC bard roll to persuade the fighter PC that his course of action is right? This is another serious question. These are some good questions. I like to retain player autonomy between players. No one likes being told what to do. I get to tell you what to do because we all agreed that I got to be the boss. But it doesn't mean that you guys get to boss each other around. Even if you made the most persuasive bard character in the whole world with a plus 30 to persuasion, I would still not allow such a character to use skill checks to manipulate other players. If that character or that player decided that their character would use spells to achieve those effects, I would view that as PvP action. If you are all in for role-playing, you might agree to have another player make a persuasion check to see if that would influence your character. And I think that's a very healthy way to handle it. But it has to be consensual on both parties. So I'm never going to be like, well, he rolled a 36 persuasion. You have to do what he says. Because between players, we're going to retain a certain amount of meta agency that just defies the mechanics of the game. Because it could create a very unhealthy environment if you allow people to manipulate other players essentially directly with game mechanics. So that's that situation. Any questions about that one? Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
That's my preference right there.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right. What if we are doing dice rolls against each other? Like, what if I know he has Gollum's ring and it's driving him crazy, and I want to pickpocket it away from him? Yes, because ultimately that's probably for the greater good of the party and that player to get that thing away from him. So we would totally be okay with essentially PvP rolls. In certain instances, I want to grapple you because you're mind controlled and you're trying to run off of that cliff. I mean, that's not PvP, that's trying to save somebody's life. Would there still be opposed rolls? Absolutely. That is very different than influencing the actions of another player, right? If you think it is cute to pick up, because you have a strong person, pick up other people's characters and carry them around, and their characters don't want you to do that, that is, again, crossing the line into impacting their player agency, breaking consent, and so on and so forth. So my job as the arbiter is to identify which situations would be okay for opposed roles and which ones would not. Same thing with player versus player. This is not a PvP game. You guys, I run a hard game. If you do not work together, you will all die. If you wander off on your own because you have poopy pants,
You're donkeys.
yeah,
You
you will die.
so-
I encourage solidarity through terror. So, you guys need to get along because it's you against the world, not against me. I don't subscribe to the DM versus player mentality. That's toxic. But the world I represent does want to kill you. And I just try my best to make sure that doesn't happen because I care about you so much. All right. Any questions about PvP? All right. Before you ask the questions, mind control. So if you played a game with me and you've been mind controlled, and I take you into private chat, I might say something really evil to you, like if I'll give you extra magic items for every person you kill, or like there's bonuses in store for you if you could kill other players. those rumors are unsubstantiated. I don't think we have any recordings of me saying those things, but if I do say something to you like that, it is true. I do give bonuses if you play really well when you are mind controlled. The PvP rules are removed, so take out any grudges that you might have at that point. All right.
Those recordings would only exist if you were recording the session. Correct?
Also, PvP. I don't want people to think that because there's no PvP, they could go ahead and be total dickheads. A lot of people in my games, they hear that there's no PvP, and they're like, I can act like a total shit, and nobody could hold me accountable. Trust me, people find a way. When you're on the ground at 2 death saves, and a person's turn comes up that could heal you, and they forget to, that wasn't an accident. It's because you were an asshole. So there is karma in place for PvP. So just keep that in mind. So any questions about PvP?
What about insight rolls for sussing out character backstory?
Insight roll to suss out character backstory. I just got done with a campaign where the lovely Afra was the only inquisitive rogue. The only inquisitive rogue in all of the world. And I pretty much anytime she ran into an NPC or another PC for the first time, we went to private chat and I just told her everything about that person. Since we don't have any inquisitive rogues, I don't think that will be a problem, but I do leak information to insightful characters about NPCs and other PCs that I wouldn't normally give away.
Whispers.
Yeah, whispers, sometimes in between sessions, sometimes they'll just straight up say, come to private chat because it's too much, I don't feel like typing it. So that's stuff to kind of keep in mind.
Alright, sounds good.
Alright, PC secrets. Are players allowed to keep in-game secrets from other players? Are characters allowed to keep in-game secrets from other characters? If so, who decides what secrets are allowed? Is this sort of thing left up to the players? Is it only the privilege of a DM? Secrets are good. There are, however, in 27 years, some instances where secrets are bad. I had a player know all of the bad guys' weaknesses and just not tell anyone else in the party. Made for a very tough final battle. Yeah, things like that. You know, again, you're a team. Ideally, you'd want to work together. I hear an excuse a lot, like, well, we never had time for me to tell him that. So that's the whole like on camera versus off camera reality of Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like we are seeing and experiencing on camera shit. But when you spend a week of downtime, I guarantee you saw each other more than once during that week and you probably said shit to each other. When you traveled for 3 weeks on your ship to get to this island, I guarantee you, even though we didn't do it live, right? Your characters interacted with each other, said shit, did shit, that kind of stuff. It is completely reasonable for you to say, remember, like while we were traveling, I told you blah, 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 and I will roll with it. Okay? Is it metagamey? Absolutely. The absolute princess of metagaming, Anna Laura of Skull and Shackles, is the absolute pro at metagaming while making it seem like good role playing. And that's the secret to success. Anytime you can metagame while also role playing, that's when you're winning at Dungeons and Dragons. So, it's totally fair to be like, in the middle of the boss fight, shout out to somebody and be like, remember I told you, gargoyles are weak to thunder. And then the other person is like, they didn't fucking tell me that. And they're like, yes, I remember. You told me that when we were camping last night. That's fine. That's totally okay. Bullshitting is a big part of role playing, so that is okay. As far as like keeping secrets, yeah, if you have secrets specifically that are important to you that when you want to keep, please let me know so I do not blab them to everybody, because I will. Because I don't keep secrets that I don't know about, obviously. Now, one of the things about secrets also is in this campaign, everybody has rumors that either they have submitted or they will submit before our game starts, and those will be seeded into the world and into encounters. Also, the Giffyglyphs system has something called boons and consequences, and one of the boons you can get is learning a secret, which is kind of cool. So maybe you're tending to someone's wounds and you do a really good job, so that triggers a learn a secret, and then that player will then be prompted to maybe tell you a secret or tell you something about their character that they hadn't shared before. And maybe as a player, you don't even know what that secret is. Don't worry, we have a table for that too. Yeah, that tells you what secret you might want to talk about. So, any questions about PC secrets?
Unrelated, kind of, but I've got all my stuff filled out on a Google Doc. Do you want me to submit that somewhere else, or is that fine?
That's fine.
All right, cool.
Yeah. As long as
I
I,
think,
You should definitely send it to all of us. Make sure you
Yeah.
send it to all of us. That's really important.
because
Yeah,
what
yeah,
Just put it in the general chat. Right there.
because you're gonna send me your rumors or whatever, and then I'm gonna write them down on post-its, and then I'm gonna shuffle the post-its, and then I'm just gonna I'm gonna go through the stack and essentially challenge myself as I draw from my stack of rumors. I'm gonna challenge myself to take that rumor and insert it into the scene or whatever's happening. That's what I did with the first group. So
that sounds pretty sick.
all right. Player expectations, types, goals, and diversities. What happens when one player's expectations ruins the fun of another player? Does every player at your table need to be there for the same reasons as every other player? Is it okay that Tim is only here for sweet loots and XP, while Mary Sue is here to roleplay her snowflake? Anne is just here to kill shit, while Steve has brought a completely min-max PC to the table, and poor Billy, he is just here to hang out with his friends and have pizza. DMs may want you to discuss with each player at the table why they are here and what they hope to get out of the game, and how you as a DM can meet those hopes and expectations. If for some reason you cannot, discuss with the player and offer what you could do instead. After you may want to reinforce that you're all there to have fun, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I asked you guys when you applied for the game what you were interested in, and then part of why I chose the group that I chose is because your guys' goals all sort of aligned. So,
yeah. So just so everybody knows, my personal goal is that I want Andronicus to get the eye and hand of Vecna and then become the big bad evil guy at the end.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what I put too.
Okay, Joe.
That sounds pretty sick. I mean, I'm down.
Okay. Let me add that in real quick. All right.
That's a rumor. Oh, that's a good rumor right there.
Player discomfort. I think we already talked about it, but if there's anything that's uncomfortable, you can either ask us to take a break, pause the game, talk to me about it, message me. I want everyone in the group to feel comfortable talking to everyone else in the group. If you don't feel comfortable talking directly to the person who has made you uncomfortable, that is why I'm here as the arbiter of the game, so you can talk to me and I can get it sorted out. So that's player
What
discomfort.
if you made us uncomfortable?
Then you definitely need to tell me. You definitely need to tell me. So 100% serious on that one. So yeah. So for a great example, in Scalded Shackles, we had a side quest that involved harpies. The harpies are pretty bad. They're monsters. They're chaotic evil monsters. Harpies like to lure men in, make sweet love to them, and then eat them. That's pretty rapey. And I just told you that I don't like rapey stuff, but that's a pretty rapey thing that harpies do. One of our players couldn't make it to the game, and I asked them, can the harpies kidnap your character? That will mean that these cute bird women are going to be having sex with your character nonstop. Are you okay with that? And then they were like, I'm okay with that. If they were like, no, that's horrible, I would not have done that. So right, it's things like that like that's kind of stuff could happen and you don't really think about it, right? You think that, hey, it's like you get captured by hot harpy girls. That's not rapey, but it is rapey. So certain things are going to be okay for certain players and certain things are not. So if anything happens that you do not are not comfortable with, you need to tell me for sure. All right. Player agency. I think we already talked about player agency. Okay. This is player agency with possession and stuff like that. Okay, this is a great example. If you were going to be possessed in a long-term way, I would actually take you aside and be like, yo, you're about to be taken control of by this powerful entity. You're a warlock patron, and your warlock patron has bamboozled you. They're going to take over your body, and they're eventually going to like betray the party and kill them. And I would take you aside and be like, do you want to role play that out, or is that completely outside of like what you want to do? If the player's not on board for that, we'll find another plot line to do instead. But I'm not ever going to be like, hey, congratulations, your character's now like this. That's just not going to happen. A good example, there was an adorable kobold, and they had the opportunity to become a were-rat, and I didn't just make them a were-rat, it was, do you want to become a were-rat? Like, that's a significant change to the character. We would not try to make that happen without any say. So I feel like player agency does come into play for important things like that. So
Yep.
yeah, okay. Game balance and fairness as a DM. What are your feelings about the balance of the game? Both. How will you use the DM to handle a counterbalance? We have to be throwing out deadly counters. Perhaps you feel this kind
I hear deadly encounters any moment.
Oh, speaking of balance,
Yeah.
I feel like he said he accepts for the IT. I do not want to be turned into a Sentai pad, Crash. I'm saying that right now.
Speaking of balance, when I was reading through the changes to the Paladin class,
Yeah.
you're effectively giving me, like, by the time we get up to higher levels, you're effectively giving me like 5 extra highest level spell slots. Like, is that how you wanted that to work?
I'm trying to separate spell slots from smiting. It's not a perfect system, so every month I've reserved the right to make adjustments to these to the rules for balance. But right now it does read that Paladins, unlike everyone else who was getting nerfed, it does kind of read that Paladins got buffed.
I got a nice second wind.
Yeah, like I effectively got as many extra of my highest level spell slots as my charisma modifier.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking dope.
Yeah.
I just
Sure
want
that was
when people play their classes, like I'm working with Terry, because Terry's my only monk right now, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm working with Terry on the whole, like, wouldn't it be cool if you could do other shit besides stun shit? It's the same thing with Paladin. Like, a lot of Paladins never get to use their spells because they're always worried that they're gonna waste their spell slot. And then a crit's gonna come along, and they're not gonna be able to drop that sweet crit. So you guys are going to be fighting Giffyglyph monsters. Giffyglyph monsters are very, very strong. They have a shitload of hit points. I have no fear that you're going to be too strong by having a bunch of extra smites and access to the okay paladin spell list. If it does become problematic, they will dial it back. But yeah, it's definitely one that I need to keep an eye on. Because Paladin was already one of the strongest classes in the game, so I don't want to make it insane. That being said, Dragonlord Paladin is actually not very strong mechanically compared to most Paladins, so I don't know if it's really going to be an issue for you. Honestly. Yeah.
I was looking at that and I was like, okay, flavor-wise, I definitely want to be Oath of the Dragonlord, but goddamn, I'm gonna miss that Oath of the Ancient fucking advantage against all magic shit.
Yeah. It's one of the weaker, if not the weakest Paladin subclass. So again, I don't mind you having your smites and your spells. You know what I'm saying?
But you get a familiar, so it's okay, right? That just balances. That's how that.
Yeah, I get a familiar and I get to be half Beastmaster.
Yeah. So there's some cool stuff to it for sure. But yeah, any of those weird rules that are posted, again, I put in the rules that they're going to be revisited monthly and as new content is released. So to kind of keep them in a nice balanced way. We're turning full MMO at this point, where there's going to be constant balance checks to see if things are fun, if things are balanced, and so on and so forth. All right. Honestly, game balance and fairness. If you applied for this game, you know that I run a really hard game. I feel like heroic stuff is often more heroic when it is challenging. I will adapt the game to remain challenging for you in a Russia versus America Cold War style arms race. So if you all decided to become min-maxers, I would just make the monsters stronger. It would not solve any of your fucking problems. If you all made a bunch of weak ass people, maybe start the game with like, I don't know, 7 strength, missing an arm, stuff like that. I would adjust things to be just difficult enough to still be difficult. Like there's the little slider difficulty bar. That's how I run my games. I try to keep it. When I have a group that's all new players, it's hard, but it's definitely not very hard. By the end of the campaign, that slider is usually very far along, and then they try to play in like a regular vanilla raw campaign, and they smoke every encounter, and they're like, D&D is boring. I also, at the same time, am completely supportive. It might not sound like it, but I'm completely supportive of finding non-combative ways to solve problems. Making enemies into allies, diplomacy, being clever. These are all like good ways to advance the story and the plot.
Just go the Skull and Shackles route and recruit fucking
Everybody. Just recruit fucking everybody. We are going to be using the B team system. You will unlock it at a certain point in the campaign, so you could definitely start your collection of NPCs right away. And then when the B team system is unlocked, they will show up to join.
I'm calling it now. Whoever the first NPC that we meet, we need to recruit them.
Okay. Hopefully it's a
Okay, I'll do that.
All right. So rules debates. As a DM, how do you handle rules debates? I have gotten very fast at looking things up online. So if there is a rule that comes up, and I think that we could look it up quickly, and it won't disrupt the flow of gameplay, we will look it up. I also trust the rules lawyers that I know to just tell it to me straight. The only time we would ever like pause the action to figure something out is if it was a life and death situation. Like this character will not be playable after this decision is made, so we better get it right the first time. Other than that, if I can't find the answer or you can't find the answer within like a minute or so, we're not going to stop and check that out. Fortunately, we all play a lot of 5e, so we're pretty savvy with the rules. We are using some new rules from Giffyglyphs, so there are going to be times where we have to look those up. I think it'll still go pretty quick. So that's my thing on rules debates. Ultimately, I will make the final decision on a rule. If you feel like the ruling I make was total bullshit, then we'll talk about it after the session, but we will not waste time arguing it during the session. So, inevitably, I will concede to Jeremy Crawford / Sage Advice unless I feel like everybody is in preference of a different way of doing it. And then the other thing is, if we decide on something as a group, we stick to that decision. So if you guys are like, can I grapple this guy with my opportunity attack? And I'm like, I don't know, you guys want to grapple people as opportunity attacks? And everyone's like, yeah, we're doing that for the rest of the fucking campaign. So once we birth a homebrew into effect, we're gonna own it. So that's, unless I specifically say, because this is a very tense situation, or because everyone's life is on the line, or we'll waive this thing this one time. So I'll try to communicate to you to make sure that we're keeping everything consistent. So, any questions about rules debates?
Both ways too, right? It's not just like if we can do it, you can do it also.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Spotlight sharing. This particular group has some really strong role players. But they are also strong role players that I, from my personal experience, feel are very good at knowing when to share the spotlight. So I don't think this is an issue. But this is an issue for any game you play with me. Let me tell you. Yeah. So DMs are the worst players. But I have this happen quite a bit in most of my games, and I will talk to Spotlight Hogs out of game about Spotlight Hogging. And there are times where if it gets bad enough, I will straight up just say, cool, cool, cool. I don't need to hear from you anymore. And then I'll move to someone else. And you will feel like I cut you off, and it will feel very rude. But I mean, sometimes it has to happen like that. So that is a good thing to bring up, though, the spotlight sharing. Everyone's here to have their turn. I feel as a DM, I do a pretty good job of making sure that everyone that's participating has an opportunity to say something or contribute to something. If it ever feels to you like you're being talked over or you're not getting opportunities to contribute, please let me know so that I am aware that that is happening and I can make sure that it doesn't. Sometimes a player will pass on an opportunity to contribute so many times that you get to the point where you're like, should I ask them at all? I like to think that I still ask those players, even if I've asked them 150 times already. I'll still ask them if they have anything they want to add. But if I stop doing that, or you feel like you're being passed over or ignored, please let me know so that I can make sure that's not happening. All right. Meta knowledge. Yeah. Okay. Do you allow it? Is it okay for players to know that swinging their weapon as at a ghost will not harm it? Are players allowed to know that trolls don't regenerate health? What about when it comes to multiple rolls? Just because the wizard player knows the rogue rolled low. Okay, so we're handling that with blind rolls. Quite a bit of it is being mitigated by blind rolls, which I think is awesome. The other stuff. A question I want you to ask all the time is, would my character know this? Right? Would my character know this? You cannot ask me that enough times. Okay? So don't ever feel like you're asking that too much. Would my character know how to sacrifice an ox to the gods? Would my character know that goatlings are evil? Would my character know that cyclops have poor perception? Things like that. Like, do not be afraid to ask, because the worst thing that happens is I say, no, your character wouldn't know that, but why don't you roll a such and such check to see if maybe they do know? Because there's common knowledge, and then there's uncommon knowledge, rare knowledge, and then knowledge that you'd only know through learning, background, experience, that kind of stuff. So, as far as like using meta knowledge in the game, this particular campaign has enough fresh ass shit coming at you that you probably won't know what the fuck's going on. It's not like you're gonna run into a round ball with a mouth and a single eyeball and a bunch of tentacles with eyeballs at the end in this campaign. The stuff you're gonna run into, you're probably not gonna recognize. You're probably not gonna have meta knowledge of. There are no like traditional trolls, orcs. There's no goblins. There's no kobolds. So a lot of this is completely fresh. You know what I'm saying? Plus, everything's getting converted to Giffyglyphs for this campaign, so even stuff that you think you know, you probably don't know, because it's going to be remixed with the Giffyglyph system. That being said, a certain amount of meta knowledge can save your life. Doing math can save your life. If you see that a monster has a plus 15 to its attack rolls and is hitting for 30 damage, it is not meta to be like, I'm not going to get hit by that monster. That's just common sense. Your character in the world is not seeing numbers, but they're seeing the Cyclops swing the tree that they pulled out of the ground so fast and so hard that when they hit the ground, it makes a huge impact crater that would have killed them instantly, right? So that's the roleplay interpretation of the math that you're seeing. So, like, again, going back to like Princess Ana Laura, right? If you find a good way to bullshit and roleplay the meta, then it's probably going to be okay. You know what I mean? Especially in this campaign. As somebody that's played D&D for 27 years, it's hard to be a player and then like in a game like Forgotten Realms, everybody knows that trolls can be burned with fire in Forgotten Realms. It's a common practice to go out to the woods and burn trolls to keep the population in check. It's a high magic setting. Don't come at me as a DM and tell me my character doesn't know what a fucking troll is, and that I can't use fire on a fucking troll, that I gotta fucking play dumb like I don't know what a fucking troll gets hit with fire. Not that this happened to me personally, but I'm just saying it's a good example. Yeah, so always just ask, would my character know this? Would my character know this?
Yeah.
Yep. That's the best way to handle meta knowledge. All right. Any meta knowledge questions?
I mean, I'm assuming you're giving me permission to annoy the crap out of you with that question. 'cause it will-
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to
here.
give you guys information that you didn't ask for. I'm going to say your characters would know blah 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 blah. And I expect what I say your characters would know, that you guys will now know that moving forward. Kind of thing. And if we have time at the end of this, then I'll give you a bunch of lore drop of stuff that you would know just innately. All right. Min-maxing. What is my stance on this? Hoi. All right. Best example of this is Scales of War. The Paladin in Scales of War. He was absolutely incredible. He was based on a build that I designed of a sorcerer paladin, and he was unkillable. He was absolutely phenomenal. Charles Pendington. I think eventually Charles Pendington suicided himself in a beholder hive just because the player was so bored of being so powerful. Yeah, like min-maxing, it's a part of the game, and some people really enjoy it, and I will create challenges for everyone in the group. But Charles Pendington got so strong that he could handle by himself what the other 5 people in the party would have to work together to do. And like, it's bad feels, right? Like, you don't want to be the person that 5 other people are looking at like, look at this asshole. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be that guy. So if everybody's min-maxing, it's probably cool to min-max, but definitely kind of look at your neighbor's work tonight even, and be like, hey, I'm actually trying not to min-max, or I'm trying to do to play a character that's like this, to get a feel for what level everybody is at in that regard. Because if you're the only person min-maxing in a group, you could kind of start to look like that guy, right? Even if you're like a great role player and you got a cool character and all that kind of stuff, if you're just outpacing everyone else, yeah, I mean, it's a collaborative game. You know what I mean? It's the same reason that DMs aren't supposed to have DM NPCs, right? Because of course, if the DM has their own special NPC, they're going to make that NPC better than everybody else. That NPC is going to be so cool, the coolest. That's a common thing that happens. That's why people are afraid to use DM NPCs, because they don't want to go down that slippery slope. A min-max character and a group of non-min-max characters does start to kind of feel like that. Like, they're Superman, and then everybody else is the regular superheroes, And like, Superman's being a good sport and hanging out with them, but everybody knows that they don't really need to be there because Superman's there. So that's kind of my thing about min-maxing. You can make a strong character, and you can make an interesting character, and you could roleplay a fantastic character and still min-max. But just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. So that's kind of how I feel about min-maxing. Yeah, it's just like everything else in D&D. It's organic, so we can kind of address it as we go, sort of thing. Any questions about min-maxing? Nope. Okay.
Nope.
All right. Character party fits. I think I already talked about this, but yeah, like having the loner character, the character that doesn't want to be a hero, the character that just wants to stay home and smoke halfling weed and write their novel. If
Man, bro, backstory.
if you want to play that character, and that character is a normal trope in D&D, you have to be willing to make it work, right? Like, say, I don't want to be a hero, no, but still go and be a fucking hero.
Shit, here we go again.
You're right. Like, yeah, like it's cool to have. I'm a loader and I do everything by myself. Cool, but this is a collaborative game with 5 people. Can you be like that, but also work with these other 4 people? You probably should redo your character if you can't, because that's the game. The game is about a group of people. Yeah. So I've seen every type of bad fit character. If everyone in the group agreed to be criminals, and you come to me and you're like, I think it'd be cool if I was a lawful good police officer. And I'm like secretly working with the guards, and I'm gonna take out the whole party on the DL. And it's like, first of all, that's way more work than I want to do. So it already is a bad idea. Secondly, no, everyone agreed they're gonna be bad guys, so you make a bad guy or you don't play, right? Like that's the thing. Like when you agree on a party, for this, I said you need to play. You can play any of the stuff, but it needs to be settler centric. So we have a mysterious masked woman who works for the druids. Most of the druids do not like the settlers. They are pro Thylea, they are pro natives. So whatever's going on with this mass druid, they have to in some way be able to justify their pro settler actions. I said nobody should worship the Titans. Nobody should secretly have them as their warlock patrons. The reason for this is they're the main fucking bad guys of the game. Okay.
We have a warlock, don't we?
Yeah.
No.
Eventually,
He's actually a rogue.
yeah, eventually that will cause a lot of problems. If somebody who's very short still convinced me that they should have one or both Titans as their warlock patron, we would do so, and we'd agree to make it work, right? You wouldn't actually work for the Titans and betray the other 4 players, because that would be detrimental to everyone's fun. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you were like spicy kind of working for the bad guy, that'd be cool. A good example of this was Salt Marsh Moon. One of the players worked for one of the BBEGs, that was his warlock patron, but through the power and magic of friendship, thanks to Twilight Sparkle and the other ponies, he was able to discover the magic of friendship in his own heart, and that he was able to turn against her and help the party fight her. But there were a couple of times where he actually betrayed the party to her in private chat and told her what they were up to and stuff, and it was very spicy. It was very spicy, but it wasn't so detrimental that it unhinged like the whole campaign. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't poison everyone in their sleep. He didn't look for opportunities when people are at 2 failed death saves to finish them off on accident. Like, you could make that kind of narrative work, but it's very difficult to do, and that's why I did the blanket statement that I'd prefer you didn't worship either of those 2 assholes. So that's party fits. Murder hobos. All right. There is a time and a place for everything. Sometimes it is a mission of diplomacy. Sometimes it's a motherfucking rampage. But murder hoboing your way through this campaign will not be very fulfilling. I will tell you that. There are a lot of cool NPCs. There are a lot of great roleplay opportunities here. If you murder hobo everything, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it. There are groups that are murder hoboing their way through this. They are having fun, but based on like the players that I chose for this game, I think that you guys will have more fun with the role playing aspects. But there are going to be times where you do have to take the murder hobo coat out of the closet and put it on, because there are going to be times where violence really is the only answer.
Is Wayne Brady gonna have to choke a bit?
Yeah. So, also we don't use XP, so there's less reason to be a murder hobo. So, any questions about murder hobos? Okay, cool. Man, this thing goes on forever. DM style. You guys know my style of DMing. We don't need to talk about that. Player absences. All right. So, player absences. If you let me know in advance that you are going to have to miss sessions, I can try to make that work narratively. If you are trusting of another player to play your character, you should designate someone to do that. If you do not designate someone else to play your character, I will put them on the NPC team, and they will barely participate or do anything meaningful without you there to do so. This is a character-driven campaign. Each of you has slotted yourselves into an epic path that is written directly into the narrative of the campaign. So if you miss sessions, you will directly impact the content of the campaign for everyone. So if you are missing a lot of sessions, I will have to remove you from the group. So player absences, if there's too many player absences, I will have to remove you from the group, because the campaign is based around the characters themselves drive this narrative, and without them, there's going to be sessions that just either can't happen or won't make any sense. That's how important the player characters are to the game. That there would be, there are times where I would have to cancel a session if one of you couldn't make it, because your character is that important to that session. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. Player narrative authority. Do you allow your players to have some narrative authority in your game? Yes. Yes, I do. So you see this map over here? There are a lot of these. I didn't even notice this until recently. There are a lot of these little towns and shit that I didn't even notice were on the map. I was very bad at the Where's Waldo books. I have no information on what these fucking towns are. The only towns I know about are the 4 that are on the map, and then this Martha's Vineyard over here. So yeah, if you want to say I came from Rockville, and this is what Rockville's about. Good. Now Rockville exists. The end. Tell me all about it. Honest to God, like, make up as much shit as you want. Will it help you mechanically? But it'll be fun. So yeah, if you have ideas and you want to share them, please do. I will also put you on the spot sometimes and be like, your character's from Astoria. Where's your favorite place to eat? And then you'll tell us where your favorite place to eat is in Astoria, and then that'll be a place where you go to eat in Astoria. So I'm very, very much a big fan of players contributing to narrative. So, also, your backstory is not written in stone, and hopefully, it's not written at all, because I hate receiving 45-page backstories. So as you're going, you could totally,
Hey, I pared mine down.
if you make shit up, just make sure that you write it down so you remember. So if you're like, oh, see that person at the bar? Yeah, we used to be sailors together. And I'll be like, cool. What's their name? And you'll tell me, and I'll be like, that's their name. And then you'll go and you'll talk to them, and you'll be like, remember when we were sailors? And I'll be like, I do. I remember that. I'm okay with that. I'm completely okay with that. If you want to create reality around you as you go, that is fine. If anybody watches me play characters in other people's games, I have no actual backstories for any of my characters. I just make up shit about my characters as I'm playing my characters. And then by the end of the campaign, I have a backstory for the character. But there's no real backstory for any of my characters before the game has started. I'll just, if it sounds like something that my character would have done in their past, I'll be like, oh yeah, my character used to work at a munitions factory. And they'll be like, they did? And I'll be like, yep. And then I'll write that down. I'll be like, there we go, worked at a munitions factory. So I don't even know who my character is until the end of the campaign. And I think that's kind of a fun way to do it. So if you have an idea for your character, and you do, but as you're playing, you're like, oh yeah, like, it would be cool if my character used to be a gladiator. And you're just like, my character used to be a gladiator. I'll be like, cool, how did it go? And you could be like, everything was going good, so I took an arrow in the knee. And I'll be like, okay, that's fine, great. And we'll just work that in. Like, I like that. I like the idea of an organic story that we all learn about as the campaign continues to play. You know what I'm saying? So, pet peeves. All right. Let's see. My main pet peeves. I don't like people bullying other people, for sure. Playful banter is okay. but I don't like anybody getting singled out and bullied. So please try to avoid that. When you're role playing, you're putting a lot out there. For some people, role playing is very hard. It's very hard to put themselves out there. Please be supportive of everyone's efforts, even if they stink and it's terrible. Just be supportive because this is a game and everyone's here to have fun. Dungeons and Dragons is like everybody's going bowling, and some people need bumpers, and some people don't, and some people are just there to eat nachos and then not wash their hands and put their nacho cheese fingers in the holes in the rented bowling balls and then put their fingers in their mouth. Everybody is at different levels, and they're all there to have fun. Is there a guy that's dad made him go bowling every Friday for like 10 years and he gets a strike every time? Cool. Is there somebody that bowls like a granny and you see her thong poking out of her jeans as she does the granny pose and she still uses the bumpers and everything and it's still fun to watch? Absolutely. Like there's different people, they're bringing different stuff to the table, but everybody should be there having fun. This isn't competitive bowling. This is friends hanging out and going bowling. Some people are going to be better at it. Some people are going to be terrible at it, but we should be supportive of everybody's efforts to do it. So that's my main thing. So, let's see. My other pet peeve is bugs. I don't like bugs, but fortunately we don't have any, so that's good.
If I was thinking about
Okay,
rolling up an
tangent.
artifice.
What the fuck is your issue with monks?
Well, it's not as bad as Artificer. I feel like we could at least fix Monk.
Yeah, you just straight fucking disallowed artificers.
All right, I've explained it a few times to people, but my thing about Artificer is too well designed. I know it sounds like a really stupid reason to not allow a class. It was designed 5 years after 5th edition, so it's perfect. Here's the problem. None of the other classes are. Like, it doesn't make sense to allow a class that is perfectly built to play alongside this broken ass shit that is the other classes.
So
in play, you could feel the difference. Like you could see and feel the difference between an artificer and everyone else. It's like artificers from a different game entirely. It's that much better designed than the other classes. I just don't think it fits like with everybody else. Is my main thing. If you want to play an artificer type character, it's easy enough to reskin any of the broken garbage that we have to play with into an artificer without playing the perfection that is the artificer class. But like until we can make everybody as good as the artificer, I don't really want the artificer around. I mean that's how I feel about it. It's an excellent hybrid caster. It's an excellent pet class. It does everything that it's supposed to do beautifully, but nobody else does. That's the problem. Does that make sense?
yeah, I have a player who's an artificer.
Yeah. Like I've played with them, I've DM'd for them, and I've played as them, and from all three perspectives, they're just too good. They're just too good. So, yeah. Like Moon Druid, you would say is too good, but the Moon Druid's not good post like level 7. Like Moon Druid just doesn't maintain like everybody else past like level 7. You start fighting stuff that's so strong that your beast form is like just chewed up and spit out. And then what? Yeah, like so every I don't know. The like Bear Barbarian is the only problem I have with Bear Barbarian is so good that nobody plays any of the other barbarians because Bear Barbarian is so good. That's part of my issue with Artificer. Artificer's so good.
Not true. I've yet to play a Bear Barbarian.
And I respect you for that. But Bear Barbarian is very good.
Same.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Gender. I mean, it sounds silly, but I don't really. After 27 years of playing Dungeons and Dragons, I don't believe in gender anymore. I know I sound like Twitter as a human being, but I really don't. Like, if I had a religion, it would be singularity, the inevitable evolution of man into a machine. So I don't really take time to worry about that kind of stuff. So you guys play whatever you want to play, and you respect what everybody's playing. If Dom wants you to only refer to Dom as a lady while we're playing D&D, you will only refer to Dom as a lady. Like, and so on and so forth. So this is a role play game. You are trying to immerse yourself in the character that you are playing, and that's that. So that's my thing on gender and gender roles and that kind of stuff. Now, on that same note, it segues into attraction, sexual orientation. Building off of that, and also this is ancient Greece. Everybody just doing everybody. I'm talking about boy centaurs hooking up with boy halflings, and boy halflings having to go to the doctor the next day because that was a bad idea. But like, it just happens. These fake creatures. I think nymphs can just hook up with anybody and have babies with anybody. It's wild times. It's wild times.
It's BioWare, so
Yeah, it's BioWare. Yeah, you're supposed to fall in love with a shrimp guy that likes doing calibrations, if you know what I mean. So
the
like,
spaceship's got a rocking body.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, your name's Joker, and you have sex with your ship, and everybody respects you for it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Because
pretty sure that's what they call condoms here, BioWare.
yeah. So now what about culturally in the game? People have a primary spouse, but almost all marriages are open marriages in Thylea. So you would have your actual spouse that you were married to, that you've made oaths to, and all that jazz, but they all sort of just, hook up with everybody kind of deal. And it's just sort of the way of the world in this setting. We already talked about rape and sexual assault, racism and prejudice. Okay, so this is a BioWare game. There is racism and there is prejudice. I would like it to be handled in a mature way. I do not want this to be that guy or girl who plays Cards Against Humanity because they're secretly racist and they get away with being racist by playing Cards Against Humanity. Do you follow me? Like, I don't want this to be an outlet for your actual racism and prejudice. It is okay to play a settler who is distrustful of native races. You have a long history of opposition with each other. There is tension between the races. They're in a time of peace, but no one's forgotten the crimes of the past, the wars, etc., etc. I don't want to sit through a bunch of like pseudo barely veiled racist remarks, but it's about a minotaur, so it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you can get the point across that your character is racist without harping on it, without overindulging in it, without making us all uncomfortable. And hopefully that there is some opportunities for character growth where your character can maybe grow out of those sort of toxic and negative behaviors. I'm not opposed to characters having flaws because growing out of flaws is an amazing narrative experience. So, like, we're adults and we're going to handle it like that. But also, going back to the earlier stuff, if any of it makes anybody uncomfortable, they need to come forward and talk about it. Because I have had players that were obviously very racist in real life, and when they were talking about dirty cheapskate gnomes, they were not talking about gnomes, and when they were making up like racist slang to call other races in the game, they were just trying to get that out of their system because they're not allowed to do it in real life. This is a fantasy game, but we're not going to indulge the fantasy of racial hatred and bigotry, so keep that in mind. Following up on that, slavery. This is ancient Greece, and I know it's going to be uncomfortable, but they did have slaves in ancient Greece. Yeah, them triremes, they needed 100 people to row them, and a lot of those people were not willing to do so. Yeah, there is slavery. The bad guys like slavery. The good guys have tried to move away from slavery. The settlers have tried to move away from slavery. Slavery is officially not a thing in Mitros and Astoria, but it is a thing in some of the outer islands, and it is a thing in some of the seedier underbelly type societies, some of the fringe cities, things like that. And you will find that even in Mitros, the bastion of civilization, they are finding ways to still have slavery without having slavery. See also modern America. Yeah, so that is a topic. I'm not going to remove it from the game unless somebody directly tells me that they do not want to have to deal with it in their fantasy game. Then I will remove it, and we'll just focus on other aspects of play. But as written, there are storylines that do revolve around slavery. So,
Question, and
Mhm.
this may be answered from your lore drop, but something that Ari and I were discussing as far as presenting our pair dynamic to NPCs. Are there like grandfathered in slaves in this setting? Like in Mitros, like oh well, your family's wealthy enough that you can have slaves, but nobody else can have slaves over here. That sort of thing.
To a certain extent, yes. The main thing is an abuse of oaths. There are individuals operating out of Mitros, particularly, that have found a way to abuse oaths of service to basically force people into a life of slavery.
right.
And they are using the magic of oaths to bind specifically minotaurs, because minotaurs are treated as second-class citizens by everyone, including other minotaurs often. Yeah, so particularly minotaurs are targeted as victims of this, and they will do stuff like kidnap your kid and say you could have your kid back if you swear an oath of servitude or service or whatever, or almost kill them and say I'll spare your life, but you have to swear an oath of service. So yeah, there is a whole trade for that right now going on in Mitros, and anybody that lives in the world knows that the people of Mitros basically have slaves still, even though the queen has made it illegal. They found a way to still have slaves.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. And the outer islands, everything that's outside of the mainland, that's just like martial law, crazy shit. Anything goes. That's on an island per island basis. They have no government or anything like that. It's just, whoever's the strongest on the island makes the rules, kind of thing.
Whatever the local
Wild
culture
West.
is, it is.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this is good advice. After we discuss these heavy topics, it's best to conclude with reassuring follow-up. All right. What would Matt Mercer say? Thank you. I love you. There we go. Sweet.
So heartfelt.
Yeah.
So sincere.
Check out our charities.
Character creation. All right. So we already made characters, so that's cool. We already talked about stats. We just talked about alignment. Stat rulings. If you have additional rules concerning stats, you may want to address them here. I don't. I think I was pretty thorough in the document I put up front. Other creation rules. Races and classes. I gave you guys a whole document about that. Tweaking and reflavoring races. As a person that plays a Batkin, absolutely, we could talk about that if you really wanted to. Classes allowed. We already talked about that. Tweaking and reflavoring classes. I talked about that. All right. Game style, character lifestyle, type of game. All right. I'm going to be transparent with you. This is a railroad. I would describe it as a roller coaster, which is a type of railroad. Yeah. It's a fun railroad, but it is the most railroad published adventure I've ever seen. That being said, it is so good that I don't think anybody in the Monday game has had a problem with how railroady it is. In fact, we all just kind of want to keep riding on the railroad because we all want to find out what fucking happens next, which I feel like is the best kind of railroad you could be on.
Snowpiercer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now that being said,
Snowpiercer.
I have, for the Monday group, I have worked in every recommended side quest that the adventure came with for the mainland. So there are side quests, and the side quests are optional. I have added a couple of side quests of my own that were also optional. Anything with the word optional technically turns the railroad into a sandbox, but not really. Once you guys get out into the ocean, which will take a while. Once you guys get out into the ocean, you get to choose where you go. The best way to describe this is the Mass Effect planet system. You go to your star map. There's actually a fucking star map, and you say, "I want to go to that star system." I'm not lying. There's a star map, and I'll say, "Oh, okay, you'll go there," and then you go to that island, and then you explore that island and do the show on that island. It is very possible to not hit all of the islands because, per Mass Effect, I'm supposed to create Mass Effect 2 specifically. I'm supposed to at some point say, "You're almost out of time." And then you could only go to a certain number of islands before the campaign's over. There is a built-in timer in this campaign. I'm not a fan of campaign timers in a full draconian sense. I feel like two of my campaigns were nearly ruined by timers. Tomb of Annihilation has a timer that kind of ruins the campaign, and Red Hand of Doom has a timer that can ruin the campaign. So I've learned from my mistakes, and there is a timer, but we all are going to agree right now that we're not going to worry about the timer. The timer is soon trademark. Okay.
Not until we go to Cruel Cumber Island.
Right.
Right.
The
Yeah, definitely.
the Age of Peace, the Pact of Peace will end. When will it end? Soon.
Soon.
Yeah. How soon? Soon enough.
So, would
Yeah.
my character know that the map on page 59 is the star map you're talking about?
Yes. Sailors use that map to travel.
Okay,
So
I remember that.
now the reason they have to use a magical star map to travel is the islands can all change position whenever they want.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
The islands are not the tops of mountains poking up from the bottom of the ocean, but they're also not turtles. So don't get your hopes up on that. But
This map is bullshit,
Damn
you're
it.
telling me.
yeah. Sidon, Lord of the Seas, he will occasionally just rearrange the islands.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
He's that friend that's never happy with how their apartment's laid out. You know what I'm saying? Like you go over and every time you go over, the couch is in a different position. That's Sidon with his islands. He just can't find that perfect.
Gotta get the optimal feng shui.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
big. He's big into
Damn
feng
it,
shui.
I've redecorated this weekend. Colors off.
Yeah, he's big into feng shui for sure. Campaign length we already discussed. This campaign, as written, the main campaign takes you to level 14-ish. And that is about, I want to say, 18 months of weekly sessions. It's a pretty beefy campaign. The book is 600 pages long or some shit. All that being said, there is post-campaign built into the campaign. So the post-campaign takes you all the way to 20, and I'm not usually a fan of high-level stuff, but I will tell you right now that the post-campaign content is hype as shit. So we could decide closer to the end of the campaign if you want to go all in and do the post campaign shit. I saying the same thing with the Monday group, but we're gonna focus on the main campaign that runs 1 to 14. And then we'll decide afterwards if you guys want to go all the way to 20, so on and so forth. But I will say, as far as high level stuff goes, I think the post campaign, the 14 to 20 stuff, I think it's absolutely amazing. It's very cool stuff. Let's see. In-game adventures. What can you expect from being an adventurer? Are adventurers all heroes? Okay. As in my other games, adventurers have the blood of heroes. It is what allows you to be more than a commoner, essentially. You don't get killed by falling off your roof, essentially. It also does allow you to heal grievous wounds that you would never actually recover from. It allows you to take a breath weapon that could melt rocks right in the face and still have skin left over. You guys are, by all accounts, heroes. In maybe a Marvel way, definitely not a DC way. DC is definitely level 14 or higher. But in a Marvel, maybe a Netflix Marvel way at low levels. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But hey,
Fun if it's not Iron Fist.
yeah, no.
Frank Castle would take issue with that.
Yeah, Frank Castle, Daredevil, you're that level of superhero at the early levels of play. Like you get the shit kicked out of you and it looks horrible, but you somehow survive. By level 14, you're in the Justice League. And you just have like a moon thrown on top of you and you dust yourself
that
off.
makes me Aquaman. Man.
Oh.
Hey, Aquaman is a
Yeah.
good hero. I will die on this hill.
Aquaman's made quite a turnaround. It's made quite a turnaround.
Aquaman is my favorite superhero and always has been.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Yeah. Khal Drogo's pretty cool.
You are definitely this campaign's Aquaman for sure. In-game politics and factions. So this is a good one. The game, despite being 600 pages long, the campaign book / adventure it's mostly adventure. It's 600 pages of adventure. It does give you the bones of a cool Greek setting, but it does not put a lot of meat on those bones. So that is where player narratives come in. So if you want to be a part of a political faction or secret group or organization, you can certainly make one up, and then we will add it to the campaign and make it happen. As far as what's going on, there are the Twin Titans, Lutheria and Sidon. They represent the old regime, essentially, right? They're the Titans. They're the children of Thylea. Thylea is a giant tree, and she is also the continent that you live on, and she is also the creator of everything. And so she had these kids, and these two kids, they were not happy with these newcomers, and the newcomers got very violent, and so then a war started, and now the Titans and the newcomers went, and they got in this big war, and then the war reached a crescendo, and then they had to have an age of peace. History in this world is very slippery. The people in power do a very good job of keeping people very ignorant about the history of the world. So training in history is a very strong skill, believe it or not, because a lot of people don't know a lot of the history of the world. They know what they are told in stories, they know what they are told in tradition and things like that, but most people don't have a clear account of everything that has happened in the history of the world, and that is definitely an intentional situation. So there's the supporters of the Twin Titans, which they are gaining more and more followers amongst the settlers every year, which is troubling for some. Then there are the followers of the Five. These are the five gods who showed up in the darkest time when the Titans were about to wipe everybody out, and they lifted up the settlers and their Dragonlord allies, and they were like, don't worry, we got this shit. And then they went to bat against the Titans. So the settlers, that is their primary pantheon, is these five gods. Now, the fascinating thing about these Titans and these five gods is they literally exist. It's not like, do gods exist? Like, these people really do exist. You can run into them at the market. If you're into beefy chads, you could have sex with them. Pythor will literally have sex with anyone. These gods are real. They really, really, really exist. They have children. They have feelings. They have agendas. They are real people in the world. Valis, the goddess of wisdom, is the queen of Mitros. Pythor, the god of battle, is the king of Astoria. These people are real. The gods are real. That being said, there's really not that big of a pantheon, all things considered. You got the Twin Titans, you got the five gods, and then you got the Fates. And the Fates are sort of a neutral party, and they're outside of everything else. Add on to that, you have Thylea, who sometimes is mixed up in the worship of the twin titans, and sometimes is worshipped independently. Now, unlike most Dungeons and Dragons settings in real life, people in the world worship mostly everybody, if not everybody. Even if you don't like a deity, because you know the deities are real and they could come give you a cosmic wedgie and ruin your life, you're going to pay tribute to them. That's just how it is. Now, there are clerics. Clerics can serve one god, but clerics can also serve the five. Clerics sometimes serve one titan, or sometimes serve the twins, which represents that they serve both titans. There's a piety system that we're using. The piety system represents that you personally feel an affinity for one divine being above all others. So it doesn't mean that you only worship that person, and it doesn't mean that you only pay tribute to that person, but it means that that particular deity or divine figure has a draw that pulls you in. Like you feel like this deity is the deity that is your deity. That's your deity. So going back to organizations, worshippers of the five, worshippers of the twins, they generally don't get along. They're always opposing each other politically, religiously, all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah. Oh okay. Sorry, I got a weird echo, I think. Settlers versus natives is definitely another faction that's at work there. Folk of the North, not to go to Game of Thrones on you, but north of Astoria and Woodhike, there's more continent, but it is all controlled by wild dudes. I don't know exactly what their name is. I think I had a name picked out for them, but basically there's wild dudes. So yeah, they are settlers who have quote unquote gone native. They worship Thylea and the land and all that jazz. So that is a faction all by itself. Is the North essentially. They have settlements. They do their own thing, but they are a bit different than Astoria and Mitros. They're more akin to, I guess, like Vikings and Highlanders, I guess, than they are to ancient Greek people.
Pagans.
Yes, pagans. There you go. Perfect.
Heretics.
Yeah. That's there is also not shown on this map, way down here, way down here. Yeah, somewhere around here. Aregia. Aregia are also settlers, but they're the worst. They're the worst. They are the rivals of Mitros, so it's a very Athens-Troy situation. The Aresians believe in beauty and art and battle. They are basically an entire civilization of Type A people. So just all Karens. Everybody down there, yeah, yeah. It's a whole nation of Karens.
Versus Stacy's.
Yeah.
Karen's and Stacy's.
Now, Mitros is very much like Athens, and we're smart and we're sophisticated, but we're not too stuffy, and we can fight, but we're not obsessed with battle like those Aresians. We're just the perfectly balanced people. We're balanced in every way. We're the greatest. Astoria, this is like country bumpkin city, right? If this is like the big olive, the big apple kind of thing, this is more like this is more rough and rowdy city. Astoria, because Pythor is the king, yeah, it's very like accepting of everybody. This has the most mixed population of natives and settlers. They generally all get along. Astoria is very much like we're doing farming and we're making it happen. We're a city, I guess. Yeah, let's have another party. So Astoria is very laid back, very chill, and they are very battle ready because they have to fight against these wild dudes all the time. They have these neighbors who live in the town of Woodhike. Woodhike is, it sounds so segregated, but Woodhike is a village for smalls. It's smalls, halflings and gnomes. So, and their hybrid children, the gnomelings. Yeah. So this is a village.
I'm changing my character. I'm playing a gnomeling.
Okay. Just have it ready by next week. Why stop there? Be a gnomeling Triton. There you go. They're called they're called minnows. They're called minnows. All right, so Mios is a satyr run community. So this is very much like Burning Man year round over here. It is a travel destination for people from Mitros that want to like get a little rowdy, kind of experience that native life without going full native. Somewhere in here is the Druids. The Druids are their own faction. They do their own thing. They have their own rules. They have their own agendas. They are incredibly mysterious. They are made up of settlers and natives who serve Thylea and again their own mysterious agenda. Some people have trouble trusting the Druids because they never know what the Druids are up to, essentially. But at the same time, the Druids do serve as a good go-between for the settlers and the natives. This whole region, all these trees, is the Old Wood. It is definitely native territory. So where you see forest, natives. Where you see no forest is settlers, for the most part.
Okay.
North of the map, wild dudes. All the way off the map to the south, shitty regions, the worst. Terrible regions down here. They're the worst. Let's see. That's about it. As far as factions go, though, the only factions I could really think of is cults dedicated to the different gods, the druids, settlers versus natives. I probably should have made a document for the factions. There's a criminal organization that operates throughout the settled lands known as the Emerald Scale, I think it's called. They basically traffic in drugs, human trafficking, all that kind of shady business. So if there was like a thieves guild, the Emerald Scale would be the largest thieves guild in the world.
I think there was a breakdown of factions inside the player document.
Okay.
There's some, yeah.
Did I miss any that were worth mentioning? I know there's the Order of Sidon, which is they're pretty nuts about Sidon. They feel like Sidon is super strong. He should be in charge of everybody. All that kind of stuff.
Sidon, we love you.
But I'll reread player.
Sidon Sim.
What? Oh, Sidon Sims? No, but some people call them Sidonites. They call them Sidonites. Yeah.
I thought they called them Sodomites.
Yeah, this is going to be the campaign that starts next Sunday. We're doing a session 0, because really good Dungeon Masters always do a session 0. Wink. All right.
They have the tribe of the lost tribe of the Gigans, centaurs of the steppes, raven ones, druids of the old wood, the order of Sidon, the cult of the snake. We're all in the player's guide.
Okay. Cool.
The cult of the snake is the thieves guild.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So, yeah, I was called an Emerald Scale, but Cult of the Snake... No, wait, there is also an Emerald Scale, too. So I guess there's 2 Thieves Guilds. Alright.
Yeah, maybe the Emerald is elsewhere, but are not so much in...
Emerald Scale... yeah, Emerald Scale operates more out of the islands.
Okay.
Not out of the mainland. So I think that only gave you guys the mainland stuff. The centaurs and the Gigans that they mentioned, they all live in the north.
The north group, okay.
Alright. Yeah. Okay, so standing, you guys are starting at level 1. It's very deadly. Please don't die. Let's see. Character context. What do you characters know? So we'll talk about that at the very end. Backgrounds, feats, and mounts. That's all talked about in the October update. Except mounts. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about mounts. Yeah, we learned through the Paradise Vale playtesting that you will definitely need mounts because encumbrance is very easy to overload yourself with stuff. I don't think this is a bad thing because I feel like mounts are a part of D&D that gets forgotten a lot. That being said, mounts can die very easily. Giffyglyph monsters are tough. I think it is only fair that I take some time to make some Giffyglyph mounts as well to sort of show that these creatures would have evolved to survive against the creatures that they are dealing with. Eventually, you will get cooler and cooler mounts as the game plays out. But yeah, mounts, just like they have historically and in popular fiction, they will get chewed up and spit out frequently. So mounts that last a long time, A plus. Those of you who didn't know, Geralt of Rivia names every horse roach. Yes. Yes.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, in
Yeah,
fucking
glad to know it now, though.
yeah, fucking
Yeah.
those horses like crazy.
Yeah, if you have it in the books, it is revealed that he has had many roaches. Not just because he lives a long time. Not just because he lives a long time. But he always tries to buy a horse that is a mare that looks like the last roach, and he names it Roach. But
Is he just hoping that the next one's going to be unkillable?
I don't think Geralt really gives a shit, if I'm being honest. But no, he likes
It's easy to just remember one name, probably.
Yeah,
It's also revealed that roach is a term of endearment, I think.
Yeah. So,
it's not like, so he still thinks highly of the horses, but he doesn't care about them getting eaten by.
Well, it's a hard life. It's a hard life being a monster
Yeah,
hunter.
true.
So just keep in mind you will burn through horses, and horses are expensive. That being said, horses are not native to Thylea. Horses were brought over with the settlers. Horses represent a very sore spot for the centaurs. Yeah, imagine you're a centaur and you feel pretty. Yeah, you feel like you're pretty well off. You got six limbs. You're pretty awesome. And then these aliens show up, and they've got like half a centaur, and then it's got like, instead of an upper body, it just has this hideous neck and face. It's horrifying.
Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah.
So reading between the lines, centaurs are they find a horse, they kill it because it's an abomination?
It's kind of just like maybe like the first time a human being saw a gorilla. You know what I'm saying? Where they're like,
They ate it.
They're like, I'm feeling something going on here when I look at that gorilla and I look at myself. Like there's something about it that's uncanny. Yeah, so they also don't like horses because they realize that horses are why people think they should be able to ride centaurs. This ain't no Xanth novel, okay? People don't ride on centaurs. You don't ride on motherfucking centaurs.
Like real good friends.
No. There is rumored to be one tribe of centaurs that allows riders, but only because they were cursed. But yeah, it is.
You just discovered the new goal of the campaign.
Yeah, it is considered taboo by all cultures except for that one cursed tribe to have riders. They do not go in for riders. Right? Letting someone ride you in a horsey way is very inappropriate.
In a horsey way.
Yeah. All right. So let's see what else. There are elephants. There are rhinoceri. Those could technically be used as mounts.
You mean a unicorn?
Oh right, wink. Yes. So there are unicorns, Wikiface, and elephants. Elephants are actually native to Thylea. So you could essentially try to pick one or two of those up. That would solve all of your encumbrance needs.
And they're considered beasts, right?
They are considered beasts, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They aren't the OP killing machines that they were in 3rd edition, but they ain't no slouch. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, oxen, as shown on the map, very popular for sacrificing. Apparently, the gods, especially the Titans, are way into oxen. I don't know what that's about. But I guess you could use an ox as a mount if you really wanted to. And yeah, I don't know what's going on here with this map where it looks like it was cut and then put back together. I just took it straight from like the folder of maps, but now that I'm zooming in here and I see this poor elephant that was chopped in half, might have to like fix the map. I don't know. So that's the thing about mounts. Now, I like the idea that mounts might get stronger over time in addition to having Giffyglyph versions of them. They might, if a mount survives long enough, maybe it'll gain a couple of hit dice or something. You guys okay with that? Like Pokemon mount system?
Like, I feel like I'm gonna do something for my little dragon when I get it, because otherwise it's just gonna always be dead, and I'm just gonna be casting Dirges of Dragonlords like fucking repeatedly.
Yeah, like I had considered the companion system for mounts, but I don't know. I think I'm just gonna run mounts as mounts. That being said, what does a mount do in 5th edition? When it is mounted, the only actions it could take are dodge, dash, and disengage. If you want your mount to take any action besides those 3 actions, you have to give up your action to the mount. So just keep that in mind.
Or something like that.
Basically, if you want your dragon mount to breathe its breath weapon, or say you had a Gorgon mount. Some people have Gorgon mounts. A Gorgon is not a Medusa. A Gorgon is not a Medusa. I gotta explain that. A Gorgon is not a Medusa in this setting. A Gorgon, even though this is ancient Greece, it is not a Medusa. A Gorgon is an iron bull that has a petrifying breath weapon, and they're all over the place. If you wanted your Gorgon mount to breathe its breath weapon, you'd have to do a Mario donkey punch to the back of the head, and then it would perform its breath weapon. So that's basically just an action economy management thing. If you have a badass fighty mount, and I would like to add them because I loved Dragon's Crown, and it had some really cool little dinosaur mounts that you could ride around on the brief fire. Yeah, I'd love to bring shit like that into the game. In order to activate anything besides dodge, dash, and disengage, you have to donkey punch them in the back of the head. Also for mounts, I'd like to simplify it that when you're mounted, you just gain the mount speed. But the idea that you get to like the mounts initiative comes up and you get to dash and then move, and then your turn comes up and you could dash and move again. It just seems like really, really fast, which I guess is the point of a mount, but I feel like it might be easier if you just basically are using your mount as a vehicle instead of an independent creature. And like when your turn comes up, you have the mount speed and then the one mount action. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. Because it's also going to get really confusing with Popcorn Initiative and mounts, I think. I don't know. So I'd like to just kind of treat them as go-karts for now. General mechanic rules, ready in action. We all know how ready in action works. The more specific you are, the more likely you are to interrupt. If your specific demands are not met, you cannot interrupt. So if you say, I'm going to shoot the first goatling that comes into the room, and a Cyclops comes into the room, that's not a goatling. You have to wait until the Cyclops finishes its turn. If you said the first enemy that comes into the room, then Evil Genie, obviously you could shoot whoever comes into the room. So just be careful about your wording of ready in action. Now, ready in action does allow you to jump in when it's not your turn, but you can't interrupt unless the specifics of your ready to action are met. So, bonus actions, we all know what a bonus action is. You only get one bonus action. You can't trade bonus actions in for actions. You can't trade actions in for bonus actions, and you can't hold a bonus action as a readied action. I'm actually going to stick to this one, even for Healing Word. So, yeah. All right. Repeated party rolls, that's handled already with the new party check system. Downtime and crafting, already covered in the document. Additional mechanical rules, already covered in the document. Inspiration, already covered in the document. There are ways that you can give each other inspiration by camp activities and things like that. you can give away your inspiration to other players, but in order to do so, they need to actually have done something that would be deserving of it. So it's not like, help me, bro, I need inspiration, and you're like, okay, you could have one of mine. Like, only award inspiration to each other when that person actually inspires you. You know what I'm saying? Don't just hold on to inspiration for your friends that are gonna need it. So. Let's see. Oh, Emerald Eye. Yeah, good correction there. Thank you, David. So, Emerald Eye are the human traffickers and smugglers. So, all right. Let's see. Stacking, advantage and disadvantage. We all know how that works. Big helper. Crits. So we're using critical effects. So far so good. The critical effects have not blown my mind, but I didn't really want them to, because I've had my mind blown enough watching Larionis disemboweled 4 or 5 times. So yeah. The point of them is to add a little bit of spice to combat without adding too much spice. Or if you don't like spice, you just deal extra damage. So it's a win-win situation. If you're fighting shit that ain't going to be around very long, you probably just want to do the extra damage anyways. So basically, every critical hit is going to do a small amount of extra damage or some additional effect at your choosing. If you right-click on your token, there are token markers. We have a mod now that if you left-click, if you keep left-clicking, it will add a number count, or you can just mouse over it and hit the number that you want it to be. The number 0 will delete the token. If you right-click it, it will appear over your miniature and take up the whole damn thing. Eventually, these will actually toggle on the statuses that they're supposed to. So eventually, if you turned on Bless, you would actually mechanically gain the benefits of Bless. Currently, I do not have that kind of stuff set up. But we do have numbers to keep track of that. So some of the critical hits, you might take ongoing fire damage. If you take 2 ongoing fire damage, you put a 2 and fire, and then at the beginning of your turn, you take 2 points of fire damage, and hopefully get rid of that fire before your next turn came around. Lingering effects, ongoing damage can be very detrimental if you drop to 0, because those can cause automatic failed death saves. So you do want to find ways to mitigate that stuff. All of that is detailed in that beefy ass document that was posted. But these tokens should cover just about anything that we need, including if you want to track like armor notches or weapon notches just on your miniature, you could use these symbols to do so. So, all right, let's see. Critical fumbles, critical successes, all that jazz. So we are playing with the system of consequences, boons, and what is it? Pay to succeed? No, success with a price. So what that means is if you come within 3 of making a check or succeeding on a roll, you could ask to succeed with a cost. So that it's a randomly determined cost. It could be you lose an item, you lose a healing surge, you take damage, you fall down. Any of that kind of stuff could happen. Honestly, I really like that rule because there have been many games where I've watched somebody wait patiently for their turn, and then they go to roll, and they've been rolling like shit all night, and they miss by 1. And it's like, at that point, I'm pretty sure they would have taken any price to just land that fucking hit or succeed at that check. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to open up a lot more possibilities for fun and exciting things that can happen during the game. The critical success and critical fumbles only occur on a natural 1 and a natural 20 on attack rolls still, but if you succeed on a saving throw or skill check by 10 or more, it is considered a critical success, and if you fail by 10 or more, it is considered a critical failure. Okay, which I think was yeah, was discussed in the document. How does stealth work? I struggle with stealth as a DM 6 years into this rule set. I basically just try to keep it loose. You know what I'm saying? Like I try not to think about it too hard. But if you're the middle of a field or the street and there's no one around and there's no shadows and it's high noon, don't try to roll a fucking stealth check. You know what I'm saying? But like as a person with bad peripheral vision and bad perception, you could sneak up on me pretty easy. So, like, if you're only sneaking up on one person, maybe you could somehow hide in the middle of the fucking street. I don't know. So, we're just going to take it on a case by case basis. I'm not going to be, like, crazy strict about it. Now that there's the aim mechanic, rogues don't have to be so shameless about it all the time. Like, I hide behind this barrel. I take a shot. Now I run to this barrel and I hide. Like, motherfucker, we know you're behind that barrel. You're not hiding from anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we had to do
But
that.
it makes me feel better.
Right, we had to do that because the game is designed that rogues get to make a sneak attack every round. So if we don't do that, then we can't. That's why they have the aim mechanic now. Because they're like, well, we designed the rogue to always get sneak attack, so we might as well give them a move that just always gives them sneak attack. That's what aim is for. So if you're in a situation where you don't want to look like an idiot hiding between two different barrels, you could just say, I keep my position and I take aim. All right.
Sibo will 100% still be doing that as a warlock. 100%.
Fantastic. What does it mean to be invisibility? Well, in 5e, being invisible is pretty just much means that nobody can counterspell you. I don't really know if it has any other good benefits at all.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. You have to see a person to opportunity attack them, and you have to see a person to counterspell them. Now, keep in mind, only greater invisibility will keep you invisible while you're casting a spell, but greater invisibility is one of the most important spells if you are a high-level spellcaster. Yeah, invisibility, I don't know. I like the idea of invisibility being kind of cool. 5e, they very much are like, you leave footprints, you kick up dust, you distort the air around you because you're a predator. Like to hear Jeremy Crawford talk about invisibility, you might as well not be fucking invisible. It's so bad. That being said, all those arguments aren't wrong, right? Like, unless you're also stealthy, being invisible is not really going to help you that much because you are going to be kicking up dust. You are going to be bumping into things. You are going to be knocking things over. You are going to be panting heavily in the middle of combat. So generally, you will have a pretty good sense of where invisible people are, unless they are also good at being stealthy. And vice versa. So invisibility is not a get out of jail free card. It's not going to just make it so nobody knows where you are. Traps. There are traps in this adventure. The traps in this adventure, some of them are instant kill, which is weird since they wrote an adventure where they didn't want you to die. But yes, there are traps in this adventure, and some of the traps are instant kill.
I've seen things.
So, I just want you to know. All right.
Attack ships off the shoulder of Orion.
So yeah, try to earn the fate points, I guess.
Oh yeah, you said we're not starting with them, right?
Yeah, you do not start with fate points. You have to earn them in the game.
Well, I guess I'm coming back as a rogue to save y'all's butt.
Yeah.
I'm coming back
cleric,
as a monk.
I'm going
because I know he
rogue.
hates it.
Group initiatives. Do I use them? I do not normally use them because I make the argument we've got a turn tracker for a reason. Roll every single wolf that you summoned with your stupid summon animal spell into initiative, blah, 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 blah. With popcorn initiative, I'm going to say that we should probably use group initiatives for some things. I'm gonna go and say that we should probably use group initiative for some things. Because when Julian is animating 10 fucking daggers and Maya is summoning 8 wolves, we're not going to want a popcorn initiative, all that stuff. So we will just have them go as a single group. Okay.
Don't forget my lesser demons.
So vendors, normally, normally, I have a magic item broker for every region, and I have NPCs that are willing to buy your shit at 50% of the base value. I have been told that that is overly generous and very unrealistic. We are using a crafting system this time. I'm going to say that in your version of Thylea, magic items are a bit harder to come by, and you will have to craft most of the stuff that you need. I think that will be more fun because making something yourself is cool. It also keeps you looking for loots and all that jazz. There will be a
Lots of the
couple.
downtime stuff, right?
Yeah, there will be a couple of magical item vendors throughout the game. The Academy at Mitros, for example, will have magical items and magical spells for sale, things like that. There will be potion shops and alchemists and things like that, places to buy consumables, but there won't be the normal 5e magic shop stuff that I normally do. Oh, I don't allow artificers anymore. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Yeah, what else? When they purchase gear from you guys, I get the feeling that in Giffyglyphs everything's a bit more gritty. So we're probably gonna lower the resale value of stuff significantly, because if you guys are getting your gear damaged by getting nat 1s and nat 20s and things like that, there's a good chance that as you're killing people, their gear's getting pretty effed up. So more than likely, I'm going to lower the percentage of resale to 25% from 50%. So if you still want to Skyrim this thing and load up your elephants with every loots that you find, we're gonna do a 25% resale value. Unless you spend the time during downtime and camping to repair things back to its full value, then of course we can discuss selling it for more money. Let's see. Special creatures. There's a lot of special creatures in this game. I don't even know how to talk about all the special creatures there are in this game. Ooh, I guess I could talk about this. Alignment is not tied to creatures as strongly as it is in other campaigns. So there are going to be creatures that unequivocally they are always this alignment. But some creatures will be of different alignments than you would normally expect. So that is going to be kind of an interesting feature of this game, and I think it's wrapped up in the fact that it's ancient Greece themed, and Jason cut up a baby that one time. So who knows what's good and what's evil anymore. Magical items takes an hour to attune. You get 3 attunement slots. Items that don't require attunement are obviously much more valuable than items that require attunement. Let's see. Spells, we already covered all that. Death and Resurrection's covered in the document, and we're done. Session 0 is finished. All right. Wow, it was only 2 hours. That's actually not too bad. I thought that was pretty good. I think that's a pretty thorough. Yeah, I think that's a pretty thorough checklist of stuff to talk about before the campaign. I'm happy that half the shit was already covered in documents that have already been shared with everybody. So, now let's talk about what you guys would know about the world. So obviously, I shared out a player's guide to the world. So if I shared that out with you, I guess it would be implied that you would know everything in there. Is there anything in there that you had questions about?
Absolutely.
Okay, lay them on me.
Okay, they're more just. I'm pretty sure that's going to be your answer is going to be yeah. You don't know that.
Okay.
So Thylea is a tree.
Check.
Where is she? Where is is that on the map?
She has her own island. She's out in the islands. She's out in the sea.
Okay. And the only other one really was this kind of says that the Dragonlords, not the Dragonlords, the 5 deities, just randomly or like magically appeared. Is there any history on that? Is there anything that kind of details because it kind of hand waves it a little bit?
Oh yeah. So basically, in their time of need, the Dragonlords, who are from another world, they basically radioed for backup. They were like, "Hey, gods of our homeland, we're in over our heads," kind of thing. And yeah, the gods of their homeland arrived and were like, "Let's do this shit." And they were not enough. All they could do was manage to broker a truce. That is how strong the Titans were.
And do we know how they brokered that truce? Like, is that something that's
Ooh,
in?
that is something that is veiled in mystery. All that's known is that some shit went down at Praxis, which is this tower out in the Great Sea where Sidon lives. And when all was said and done, this dude Damon, who was like a badass wizrobe, he rolled up with some dead bodies of dead Dragonlords and a peace contract and an oath of silence.
Okay.
Yeah. David is still alive, in quotes, but is still under an oath of silence.
Liches, man.
And this was like 500 years ago or something like that.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Damn. Hopefully he knows spell spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the only two kind of things that popped out that I was curious about.
Yeah, no. The mystery behind the Pact of Peace and the arrival of the gods is one of the ongoing themes of the campaign, for sure.
Okay. You said some history has been kind of like, right, it's veiled in a sense. There's things that people have forgotten, I guess.
Oh yes, there are many deities that have been forgotten. Yeah, and they actually are called the Forgotten Pantheon, the Forgotten Deities. People could kind of remember them, sort of. One of the ones that has still not totally faded from memory is a being known as Helios, who is said to be the god of the sun. But beyond them being the god of the sun, not much can be remembered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and my other question will be based off of Sivo's time, so we can wait until we get to that stuff. But that's fine.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
I want to know about the Centurions of Mitros.
Okay. Like their military organization and all that jazz?
Well, I know that they just basically there's only like one paragraph in the player's guide, so it's like they guard Mitros, they followed Pythor in the battle against the centaurs and the Gigans, they honor Mitros as well as Pythor openly, and then the highest ranking one is King Acastus, who commands the army. I was wondering if there's any more information or if that's the rub.
Well, they have a very complex hierarchy. It goes Supreme Commander to General, to Brigadier to Colonel, to Battalion Leader to Captain, to Hoplite, to Regiment Commander Cavalry, to Horse Archer.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of have a question about what's shown in the player's guide, but I think it might be kind of spoilery.
Oh, okay. Do you want to send me a message that it asked me?
Yeah, just in case.
Okay. All right, and Will, I'll post the hierarchy that I just told you about in the Discord.
Nice, thank you.
I guess it would go with roleplay. Yeah.
Oh man, they even got a flow chart.
The flow is real.
Jeez.
Horse archers, are those centaurs?
No, they are people that ride on horses. Again, a sore spot for centaurs everywhere.
That's interesting that the base is horse archer. That's like the thing they initially train you as, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, making a shield wall and making a spear reach 10 feet away, I mean that's complicated shit. They can't just teach that to everybody.
True enough, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't hold a shield. Go ride a horse.
Oh, the seam on this map is driving me crazy. I'm gonna definitely have to swap this map out. So.
So with horses being non-native
Mhm.
and being expensive, does the same thing apply to like donkeys or other lesser pack animals?
There is a price guide for livestock. I have to track it down, but I should definitely have that on hand. Basically, sort of like buying jewelry, right? You've got your basic bitch version of something, and then like livestock, because they're used so frequently in sacrifices, it just goes all the way up, baby. Like we're talking like 5,000 gold piece white oxen to sacrifice to the gods. So the livestock industry is very, very complex in this world.
Okay.
Yeah, but there will be essentially rock bottom prices. Like I need this thing to do the basic thing that this thing is supposed to do. Yeah.
I just thing. How do you feel about replacing some material component costs with like sacrificial animals?
Yeah, I could see that working for sure for ritual spells. For ritual
For
spells.
like revivify and shit like that too. Like
50 golds worth of oxen.
So for revivify, we're
like resurrection and
yeah. So for that stuff, here's the tricky thing about Revivify and Resurrection and Raise Dead in this setting that the Monday group has not run into yet, but will probably be running into soon. There is an individual who is in charge of the dead in this campaign setting. She is also the bad guy. Yes. So finding fate points is very important. It's very important. That being said, there are going to be we could say instead of like, a Giffyglyph diamond or whatever, we could say that there are certain things that are so appealing to Lutheria that if they were offered up during a Revivify, she would accept them, kind of deal. We could definitely have things like that. But once you guys are known to her, coming back from the dead is going to become harder and harder. Obviously, people die all the time. You're the god of the dead. You don't have time to fucking process everybody. But once people get on your list, you know what I'm saying? You're a lot more attentive to whether or not they die.
And the no flyback list.
Right.
What is like the hierarchy with her and the fates then? If
So okay, let me get the marker out. Okay, so here's the world. Okay, the world is it's flat, obviously, like every world, and then there's Thylea, and she's a tree, right? So she's doing her own thing. Cool. So I don't know why I drew that because it's not really important. So the five gods, right? They're over here. The five gods. There we go. And they watch out for the settlers. Okay. And that's all they care about. The five gods, though, they don't. That's mean to say, but they don't worry about the natives. They don't worry about anybody but the settlers. They're here for the settlers. That's what they're here for. Okay. Then you've got the twin titans over here. Okay. Now they are the babies of Thylea. Okay. And they
thousand-handed one.
Yeah, and they quote unquote care about everybody. So they care about the natives and the settlers because they have that much room in their hearts. Winky face. Now, you mentioned the 100-handed one, okay? So he's back here. All right. Okay. He just sort of walks around the perimeter and he's like, "Don't fuck with my wife." Okay? That's all he does. That's all he's about. Don't fuck with my wife. That's his whole thing. Like you could worship him, he's just never gonna care. He's gonna be like, "Cool, don't fuck with my wife." Like that's it. That's all he cares about. He sometimes he goes to these two and he points to the belt over the mantle. And he says, right? And then
Hardcore.
these guys, he doesn't even pay attention. These are like the shitty neighbors that moved in that he just, if he doesn't make eye contact, he doesn't have to talk to them. That's how he feels about them. The five gods over here.
Yeah.
Now, Thylea, she's just asleep. This is mom has a headache and she's laying down, and dad's like, "Don't wake your mom. Don't you wake your mom up," right? Like she
Just like
doesn't.
Christmas.
Yeah, she doesn't do shit. She just sleeps all day. This is all she does. So meanwhile, he is just like, "Leave my wife alone," and she's taking a nap, right? And then these two, were told, "Play nice with the neighbor kids." And these two, being absolute shits, are like, "Oh, we'll play nice with the neighbor kids, all right." And that's kind of where we're at right now. So where are the fates? So there's three fates, obviously, and they are in charge of destiny, right? So they just hang out all day, and they're in charge of destiny. They aren't affiliated with any of these motherfuckers. In fact, they are sort of like the old man Muppets, that kind of sit in the box, and they make fun. Yeah, they just watch. They just watch and make fun of everybody. Now they also have rules, right? But they're too old and to enforce the rules, so they have these special angels called the Furies. And the Furies are so strong in Thylea, they can just kill anybody.
This is straight out of Greek mythology too. Like that's actually like okay. That's the part I know from.
Yeah,
Greek
yeah.
mythology.
So these three, if they see somebody fucking up, anybody, even Thylea, if they say anybody fucking up, they send the Furies in, and the Furies whoop their ass.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Fates only have one eye between the three of them. It is known.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. So
It is known.
We've watched the sacred texts.
Okay, so basically nobody's really in charge. Everybody's kind of fucking everybody over.
Let's see the players. Well, yeah. Like, here's the thing: these two, Sidon and Lutheria, they're really good at PR. Like, they're really good at PR.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, even though Sidon is a fucking like murder machine, he's like really good at football. You know what I'm saying? And like, even though Lutheria is an absolute psychopath, I mean, she's down with sex and drugs. And she's got big old tatas. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the natives, they've always been like, yeah, I'm down for that. But now the settlers are like, yeah, I mean, 500 years, they haven't caused any problems. They only seem to be there to help, you know? Like, Sidon wants you to be strong, and Lutheria wants you to enjoy life and revere death. What's wrong with them? And then these five are like, guys, they tried to kill everyone. Please, aren't you listening? And they're like, but think of all the good things they've done. Yeah, so these guys are having a hard time. The five are having a really hard time. Now, a question from Dom that he word might be a spoiler. All the section about the birth, the titles, the mentions they have 8 offspring, but only 5. Only mentioned the 5 described as each of the first. Dom, what is listed? What you just quoted? Some people would know. Like, that's a good question. Anybody who is trained in history. Anybody who's trained in history would know that Thylea had 8 children originally, but now there are just the 2. Yeah.
Okay.
But it is a thing, kind of like the slipperiness of history or the control of history, that nobody really talks about that much. So, and again, there were many gods before. But people, but they are forgotten now. Like, people remember that they were there, but they don't remember much about them. The one that is most recently fading from memory is Helios, the sun. But also the Aresians have a deity, allegedly, named Narcissus, who is a god of beauty. Allegedly. So.
And
so Narcissus is definitely not one of the 5, like, right? Just
Nah,
split off.
well, first of all, if Narcissus was part of the 5, it would be the 6.
Exactly, but it's forgotten. Okay, all right.
All right.
Okay, but in terms of like there's gods and then there's titans. So Helios is a god or a titan?
Unknown.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
Everyone agrees that someone is in charge of the sun, and those that can still remember know that that is Helios.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, how else would the sun fly over this pizza that is the world if not for somebody pushing it or telling it to?
I have religion as one of my skills. I'm thinking about trying to switch it for history now.
Yeah. They're kind of tied together, I guess. Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
So maybe trading in religion, you'd also know the same idea. Yeah, the same basics. I think would be covered by either skill. So if you want to stick with
Okay.
religion, yeah, that would work too.
Okay.
So, religion, you know more of the flowery parts. History would know more of the specific factual parts, if that makes sense.
I think the flowery parts probably makes more sense for
A druid, yeah,
who
yeah.
who's all into Thylea.
Yeah, I'm so used to Hypatia with their nerd brain knowing all this stuff already, so and then just telling everybody else. But yeah. Yeah.
So where would Arcana fit in that? I get where religion and history makes sense.
Well,
for...
Arcana is the study of magic and magical creatures. So you would know,
Okay.
yeah, you would know about sphinxes. You would know about a little bit about fey creatures. You'd know about celestials. You'd know about outsiders like fiends and devils. For example, for the most part, the only fiends in this setting are Yugoloths. So that you're not.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So you're not. Yeah. So you're not gonna run in.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. So you're not gonna run into a lot of devils and demons, but you are gonna run into Yogoloths because those are the ones that live in the underworld. Also, this isn't official raw, but this is my interpretation of Thylea. So we have this pizza right here, but it's actually like an Oreo cookie. Let me see. How do I change the color on my pen tool? Settings? Yeah, here we go. Change this to blue. Yeah, that'll work. Well, I don't want to save it to my default settings. Whatever. So it's actually like a hockey puck. There we go. So there is technically an Underdark in Thylea. It is called the Hollow World. So it is basically all of this. Yeah, the hollow place, the hollow world is beneath the surface of the earth. And there is the underworld is literally under the world.
Great.
Yeah. So you could, if you Minecraft Steve, you could dig straight through to the underworld.
So there's not like a Mount Olympus type deal because the gods are all walking amongst everybody.
Yep, the gods are just there with everybody, just hanging out, making babies, having a good time.
Drinking. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
All right.
Not even like a tree house, up in Mother Thylea.
It will. Maybe that's how you lost your hand. You challenged one of the gods to an arm wrestling match. They just ripped your hand off.
If only.
What is this, voice?
I feel well. I mean, these Giffyglyph rules. It could probably happen. I feel like this is very succinctly summed up the cosmology of the world. Yeah, with stick figures.
Can we keep that there? I'd love to keep that there for the entirety.
It's gotta at the very least go into roleplay chat for future reference.
Yeah, I mean, you can screenshot it for roleplay chat. That's cool. All right.
Get the candles. Gotta get the candles at the top though.
The reason it's raining on your dashboard is your dashboard is linked to time of day and weather. So it will always show you what the weather is, the time of day is by, you needed to be able to see. So if these candles went out, you actually would be able to see your own desktop kind of deal. There is a little thing that shows you the time and everything. The only settings for players are you never get to see the clock or you always see the clock. I'm sure that will change in a future update, but right now those are the only settings for players. So do you guys will take the true democracy here. Do you guys want to always have this little module on the screen taking up space so that you know what time it is, or do you trust that you could just ask me what time it is and I'll tell you, or like do you want me to remove it or you want me to leave it, or do you want a couple of sessions to figure it out?
Yeah, I think
I like it.
Yeah, I'm fine
I
with
say
it.
leave it. Plus, we can move it around. So I mean, we can.
Okay.
I just had it sitting on top of
It's
my
like
bar.
the turn counter for Roll20. It's like we can just move it around if we need to.
Now for popcorn initiative, the popcorn module is not good. We stress tested it enough that I'm confident it is not something I want to use right now. So we are going to be tracking with a Google spreadsheet. I know that sounds kind of ghetto, but there's benefits to it. One, it could be in another window, which Popcorn Initiative would not work in another window with pop out. Two, it's collaborative, so you don't have to rely on me remembering who's activated. Everybody can access it and edit it at the same time, so we can all keep track of whose turn it is and who hasn't gone yet and all that kind of stuff. So ultimately, I thought it was a pretty good solution. Yeah, and I think the link for that was like bit.ly/pv popcorn. Let's see.
And I would like to say that Sibo would not want everyone to see the clock. That throws away a third of his keen mind feat. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah. Actually, most of your key mind gets thrown away because I just tell people what's north most of the time. Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, that's the address for it is bit.ly/pv popcorn. Will take you to the document. So. But it's one of those things I'll just post it up at the beginning of each session or something so everybody can jump into it and have access to the.
Are you gonna have a separate tab for?
Yeah.
We're gonna
make a we'll make a separate tab. I can do it right now actually. So, duplicate. There we go. Cool. So yeah, we'll have a Mythic tab, and that'll just be for tracking our stuff. So you guys can punch in your names in the PC section, and as you gain NPCs, we'll track them there and all that good stuff. So, let's see. Was there anything else I need to cover? I guess like Foundry questions I probably need to answer because for some people this is their first time using Foundry, and this group has the benefit of the great sage of Foundry, Dom is here. So when I inevitably do not know the answer, Dom is going to be there to tell you. I don't know why it's not working for you, Crashroom. It works in my game. So
did you try updating the mods?
Yeah, number one answer is I don't know why it's not working for you. Number two answer is did you run your updates? In which I lie to his face and I say, of course I did, and then I didn't. But whatever. Yeah. So this stuff can get very sexy. The stuff here with the mods that we have can get very, very sexy. I don't want people to get hung up on making it super hype. Like we have this little dice tray at the bottom of the screen. It's very good dice tray. Believe it or not, when cavemen used to play Dungeons and Dragons, we only had paper and pencil and dice. That's it. Maybe we had one calculator that we shared. Like if we could do it, we could do it here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so don't feel like you need to have this perfect, flawless character sheet. Dom is gonna have shit going on with his character sheet that's gonna make you weep. It's gonna be so cool. Terry in Skull and Shackles was on for like 5 hours today. Making well, not for Skull and Shackles, for Reset, making sure Reset had the best character sheet because Reset's an Oresian, and that's good role playing to make sure that she's the best and she has the best stuff. So they're gonna be busting out like the sickest fucking macros and stuff. If you go to use a spell and it doesn't automate the way you thought it would, that's okay. We can just roll dice and it'll be fine. Over time, everyone will get better and better at this stuff. And the cool thing about Foundry is it's very easy to share with each other. So if somebody gets a really cool macro, all we gotta do is drag it from one person to the other, and that person now has the macro also. Yeah. So the mods that I have installed can handle almost everything. The only thing that we can't do in Foundry is reorder actors. So it's so stupid. So when you are in the game, we're gonna have to do shit like offset people so that they're not fully stacked on top of each other. Even shorties like this, we're gonna have to be careful. Because it's fine now. I have a mod. If I click on him, oh, he goes to the back. No problem. Oh, look at it. I'm just toggling between them. It's so easy. As soon as there's like 10 models on their tokens on the map and dynamic lighting and all this other stuff, that is like one of the first mods that stops responding is the reorder tokens mod. So yeah, but if you do have tokens that you control and they are stacked, supposedly you should be able to click one time, nice firm click, and it should cycle between the tokens that you control in a stack. It works great until we're in a dungeon or until we're in combat, and then it never seems to work. I don't know. Also, another thing you can't do, you cannot delete your miniatures. You could spawn as many miniatures as you want, but you cannot delete them. So
Can you delete that one for me?
sure. So that's the thing to keep in mind. You guys have a lot of permissions. I have it set up so that you can upload your own artwork and images if you want. I have it set up so that you can copy pasta images directly into chat. All of that's really cool, but it does get put into a folder on my drive. So yeah.
For me, I guess because I have my own Forge account.
Yeah.
And when I go to like put stuff in, it goes to my asset library.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so
It should
stuff
should actually do that for everybody because I think even free users get a certain amount of storage space.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
that's
that's
cool for me as well.
Yeah. Now, some things that we can't do that you could do on Roll20, if you're used to having all kinds of hilarious animated GIFs in the chat window, we do not have that right now. Yeah. So this program does not like GIFs. It only likes these weird web thingies. So if you were hooked on GIFs, we don't have GIFs right now. If you try to copy pasta a GIF in here, it's just going to do a link to the GIF. It won't actually appear. I could enable it to embed into chat, but that would kill our Chrome resources pretty quick. So we're not going to do that.
Why is it? What is spider?
Yeah. What else? I don't know. I think that's. Does everybody know how to move their miniatures around the board? Yay or nay?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember from.
There's a map called Trading Grounds that you should have access to, and you could travel to it yourself. You don't need my permission. You just click on it and you go there. That's one of the cool things about Foundry is players can have multiple scenes. You guys should also have your own scenes tab. Do you see like next to the fist there should be like a map?
Yeah, we can see the start page and the training grounds.
Yeah. You can also navigate to them through that also. This is set up with a grid and everything else. So you could practice like moving around and all that stuff. So
So real quick, how did Sibo have a feed already? I thought we weren't doing that.
What?
Remember there's the divine gifts. Some of the divine gifts or some of the supernatural gifts simulate feats.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, you said you were gonna pick them out, but you wanted to talk about them. So you wanted to discuss with everybody else. Do you want to discuss that now?
Me?
No. Andronikos.
Oh no, yeah, I was gonna do the. No, Piety. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, what were you doing for supernatural gift?
I was gonna do Nyxborn.
Oh, so you were just dreamed up. Okay.
In the thing, it says that it could have been like someone in your family. So I was thinking that it could be that like the progenitor of my line was dreamed up, and I'm descendant from that person.
Oh, okay.
We talked a little bit about this back when we were first creating, but that was
Mhm.
like a long ass time ago. So I'll scroll way the fuck up and find it and send stuff to you.
Well, there's definitely some cool ideas combined with your epic path with that particular supernatural gift that could be really, really cool. So yeah. Okay. And then as far as piety, again, you don't have to start the game with piety if you wanted to wait and find out like maybe a better fit for your character, you can. You just won't earn any piety until you declare essentially someone as your object of piety. That being said, if you become disillusioned with the person you are pious towards and start over with someone else, you will start back at ground zero. So keep that in mind as well. All of that being said, Piety, I think they said it takes like 20 sessions ish to max it out. I don't know. It doesn't sound like it's that hard to max out. This campaign is going to be way longer than that. So if you do become disillusioned, don't feel like you're going to be way behind because you'll have plenty of time to raise piety with some other individual instead. One of those meet your heroes situations. So let's see. Okay. Any other questions about the campaign, the mods we're using, Foundry, any of that kind of stuff?
So it's possible to bring in a character from D&D Beyond. How does one do that? Because I was looking at the
So
import
if
data
you
thing, it says exported JSON file.
Yeah, so if you build the character in D&D Beyond and then you send me the link for it, I could import it into the game. And it's pretty damn good. So it'll import exactly what you have into the game, and then you don't have to build from scratch. But once you're in Foundry, I'd recommend just working on it in Foundry, like maintaining it in both places. Because I'm not using the app that allows you to stay linked with D&D Beyond constantly. You would just have to keep exporting it and importing it and exporting it, importing it, and keeping updated in both places. So for the initial character sheet, though, it could definitely save you time, especially if you already have the character built in Roll20.
That's what I did. I
Okay.
imported mine.
Yeah, same here. The only thing that I don't have would be some of the spells from.
Oh, right. Wait, that's pretty easy. Those are going to be in the spells compendium. So once your character sheet's in there,
Yeah, just drop those in.
you just literally drag and drop them onto your sheet. Okay. Wait, so Dob, you were able to set it up like as a player? I have the permission set up for that? Oh.
Well, what I did was I imported into one of my games and just exported my character and imported it when I came on here.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't have the mod turned on.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I'll have to do that and then get your character imported.
But once you do turn the mod on, I think players do have the ability to import.
Okay.
I think there's a setting for it.
Let me check the mods right now. Is it just the Beyond 20 companion module?
Yeah, not the Beyond 21. It's the VTTA one.
Oh, okay. I got it down here.
Beyond 20 is for actually playing
through. Yeah. All right. So virtual tabletop assets D&D Beyond integration. That one.
Yeah, that one is just for importing and
exporting.
All right,
I'll just turn it on right now. It's gonna boot everybody out, I think, or it's gonna refresh everybody. Okay.
It's refreshed.
It booted me out.
All right, VTTA D&D Beyond integration. Oh wait, now it's refreshing me again. Okay. Please note that the character import is now working differently. By using a more user-friendly workflow, you can find the updated instructions found in the character import window, accessible by the B button on a player's character sheet.
Yeah, they made it easier.
Okay.
So all you need is just a link, and then there's an import button.
Hell yeah. Okay. So, let's see. Expect the new features to feel a bit bumpy. Blah 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 blah. All right. So let's see. Go to actor. Create actor. Create the actor. Julian. Create the actor. There's a D&D Beyond button. I literally just gotta hit the button. All right. Classes, features, weapons, equipments, currency, spells. Start import. And done. Wow. That's pretty cool. All right, so let me give Julian to Julian. There we go.
Where's the document where you said what the changes to the different heroic paths and shit?
The changes to the heroic paths.
Not heroic paths. The other
The
background.
supernatural gifts.
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
The only
By the way,
change
I
to
can see Julian.
was I had to choose between necrotic and radiant resistance, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, because Nick Sporn was leaps and bounds better than everybody else. Yeah. Hold on. Supernatural Gifts of Thylea. Here we go. I'll post that over. I thought that was already in the build channel, but maybe not.
I heard it somewhere. I just didn't remember where.
Yeah, I think it was in one of like
It's
4
pinned
different
somewhere.
channels. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just
By the way,
paste it
I
again.
can see Julian in my actors list. I'm assuming I shouldn't be able to.
Well, could you see all his stats or just him?
I can only I can
you
only see
his
him.
background.
Okay, yeah, it's just the
Yeah,
traces of-
the ideal setting is that you can see your fellow adventurers, but you can't actually mess with their sheets. So
Okay, yeah, I was just
Yeah,
making
when I
sure
open
that
it
wasn't okay.
yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah, when I
eventually
open it, it shows background.
yeah, I'm gonna eventually show it to set that up for everybody. So
Who's God is? I'm assuming
who's what?
Kyra.
Yeah.
Kyra.
Oh,
It's the music.
yeah.
Shakira.
Kira, yeah.
Just the one-
Kira is the goddess of music. Yep.
Just call her Shakira. She shakes them hips, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's see. All right, so I linked that to you. So let's see, Nyxborn, yeah, necrotic or radiant, not both. That's the only change that was made to it. Yep. So the Nyx in the Cosmology, like Spelljammer, the worlds float inside a marble. The marble's full of is the crystal sphere. Yeah, and then the crystal sphere floats inside of Flossagen or whatever. Well, instead of floating inside of Flossagen, it floats in the Nyx. So the Nyx is outer space ooze that surrounds all of the Thylean crystal sphere.
You import from D&D Beyond. Does the notes section go anywhere, or do you just lose all that shit?
I think it goes in the background.
No, you get the description page into the background, but I don't see the.
Oh yeah,
notes
I guess
page.
notes. I guess notes goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Now,
have a journal page.
you
I think
guys,
we can make
you
a
guys
journal.
should have the ability to make journal entries. Can you go to the journal tab? There should be a create entry at the bottom.
Oh yeah, we have access.
Yeah, cool. So you can make as many fucking things as you want. And it's actually really smart. It'll even copy pasta like images and stuff directly into the word editing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very one-note-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Crash, somebody in chat was asking if you're setting up NPC shopkeepers.
That would be very smart on my part, to automate that. I don't know if I will or not.
All right.
Yeah.
I have a equipment and a adventuring gear one set up. I can just give you the thing, and you can just import it.
Oh, that'd be cool. Okay.
And then you can like remove whatever you want to remove from them.
I mean, for the most part, I just tell people like, yeah, everything in the player's handbook is available. So, in a major settlement at least.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that'd be great. Appreciate it. Let's see. What else? What else? Oh yeah, there's calendar events. I guess I could. How do I give you guys permission to an entire calendar? Can you guys? I have to do each event separately. Oh, that sucks. I wanted to give you access to all of the different holidays, but I think I'd have to. I think I'd have to do it one by one. I don't think there's a way to share an entire. Maybe. Let's see. Edit folder. Nah.
Are you trying to share a journal folder?
Yeah, I was trying to share the whole folder.
So there's a mod for that.
Oh my god! Of course there
to
is.
give permission to like entire folder and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
All right, I'll have to look into it maybe. Yeah, because there's like 25 holidays, which is kind of cool. I think it's more important for your group than the Monday group because your game is going to run on a much slower clock. And if you're stuck in places for like a week to do like a long rest, you're inevitably going to end up hitting a couple of these holidays.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll go into Mayos or Mios for Coachella.
That happens on 420.
Oh,
yeah. I thought that was a pretty nice design choice. So let's see. Oh, I guess I could set you guys miniatures up correctly. Let's see. So configure, no, not configure, shoot. All right. Configure permission. There we go. Everybody has limited. The once has ownership over Aquaman. Done. All right. SIBO limited and owner.
I don't know if it matters, but I created a second Julian Mitros.
Oh, okay. I get rid of it. There you go. Boop.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My OCD, thanks.
No worries. Yeah, there's so many duplicate miniatures floating around that because nobody can delete their stuff. There does not seem to be a mod for that though. At least not that I know of.
No.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. We'll put you in the player folder. There we go. So those of you with multiple art, I could set you up with the shifting token that you could change the art out as you see fit.
Can you change it? Can you automate it to where as soon as I go bloodied, the bloodied picture comes up?
Wow, technically that is something that could happen, but I do not know how to do it. But yeah.
I don't know how to do it either. So.
But technically,
there's a mod for that.
Yeah, there is definitely a mod for that. Let's see. It's so weird only having the 5 characters. I'm kind of excited about it. So, let's see. Julian, always display his name. Oh shit, what did I do? All right, always display his name.
I dragged out a token just.
Oh yeah, no worries. Oh, you already have a token set up?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just dragged something out from the sheet.
Sure. Let's see. Going to Odyssey. Okay. And I'm wondering if I already made you guys folders. I've got your art in here, but did I make you guys? No, I guess I didn't make you guys folders yet for your stuff. Okay. All right. let's see. Tokens. No. All right. Just making sure that I have these in the right place. Tokens Greek. Did I make a mythic folder? I did already make a mythic folder. Nice. Oh, and I already uploaded Jameez. I wish I had a better grasp of my own experiences in the world. So, I don't know how one gets such a thing, though. All right. Juliet, are you normal size mini? Because in Foundry, you could be slightly bigger or slightly smaller. Oh. Let's see.
Should be normal.
Okay. Always.
I didn't make myself nearly a 7-foot tall giant. Muscle.
All right. So I think that the Juliet miniature is now correct. There we go. All right. Let me set up the next one. Oren. Let's see. Limited. Owner. Save. Let's see. Going here. Going here.
I didn't mean to request a 2-tone token, but it looks really awesome on the page right now.
I think it's a good looking party. It's a good looking party.
That token board is pretty cool.
Which token board? What?
Julian's.
Oh yeah. Let's see. So Oren,
I'm a big fan of those colors.
You're set up correctly. Maya, let's see. Prototype. All right. Always show the name. Link it.
I should be all set up.
Okay. Did you want shifting token or no? Or are you?
Oh,
you set up your own shifting token? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. You have dark vision?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And then, yeah, that's correct. Good. Okay. And let's see. SIBO. Let's see. Okay, that's correct. Correct. Not correct.
Oh no.
And correct. Good. Alright, let's get rid of this little guy. Aw. Are you okay with being that small of a miniature? Do you want to be slightly bigger or slightly smaller?
I would like to be as realistic as possible. He's 2'9".
Oh, then we'll leave it at that. All right. Let's see. Okay, always friendly.
Your belt looks fantastic from here.
Yeah. Tokens, Greek, Mythic. There we go. There we go. All right. Do you have a token, Adronikos, that you like as your default token, since you have so many tokens to choose from?
Let me take a quick look.
Okay. Otherwise, I could have it just spawn a random one every single time.
It's random every single time.
Okay.
Well, that's cool.
All right. Sweet. What if he comes out angry? Oh, there he is.
Wrong side of the bed.
Nice. All right. Those are not showing.
Look like you're suffering from a hangover.
They're not showing off your health for some reason. What did I miss here? Resources. Oh, there we go. Always show health. Update. All right, sweet.
Somebody wants to know what Andronicus is.
Did Navi and an octopus have a baby? That's fair. All right. No, he is a Triton. I like to think of Triton like the Naga from World of Warcraft, that they differ based on like their ocean conditions. Because you see so much variation in the art form, that kind of feels like a pretty good explanation of them, you know? They're like an underwater race, but they are highly adaptive. Hence the reason that they only recently realized they had dark vision, even though they lived at the bottom of the fucking ocean.
Oh my god, that is so ridiculous. So ridiculous. It's like you have dark vision, but only underwater. And they're like, all right, that's ridiculous. Let's make it actually make sense.
I don't even think you had dark vision underwater. I think that was my house rule, was that they would at least have dark vision underwater. But
I think they're, let's see, I think there might have been a Jeremy Crawford for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah,
that
officially.
Yeah, that's how we were running it in Skull and Shackles. Was if you were a deep sea race, you had dark vision underwater. Because
because the Locatas don't have it either.
Yeah.
Or catfish men.
Well, they're less deep sea, right, than like the Tritons, though.
Yeah, they're
underwater.
Yeah,
they're not super deep sea. But they still have like their little villages underwater, you know. And I imagine
it's pretty dark underwater. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Hard to light a campfire.
True.
All right. Let's see. So everybody's aware of their possible piety. Everybody's picked out their supernatural gifts. Miniatures are set up. Questions about the world have been answered. Oh, money. There's only two types of money. Drachmae is gold and lepta is silver, and that's it. We don't fuck around with copper or electrum or platinum or any of that kind of stuff. Now, you may encounter foreign coinage, but you would just essentially sell it to a collector. It would be like finding, well, I would say it's like finding gems, but gems are actually super valuable now since you can.
Object?
Yeah, be an art object. Yep, foreign coinage.
Buffalo nickel.
Yeah, you could actually find a buffalo nickel because this is sort of a Bermuda Triangle situation here. So, which is why now that everybody's picked their characters, I could tell you about the character that I would have played if I could play in a Thylea campaign. I would totally be a modern day human being, lost one who got lost in Thylea, because technically that's something that you could play. Yeah, it would be totally an isekai character. Like I would be
next week, right?
I'd be a huge Dungeons and Dragons nerd who was convinced by his family to go on vacation, even though he hates leaving the house. He wants to stay home with his anime girls, and he, the boat they were on, like the cruise ship, gets like lost at sea, and then destroyed by a 100-handed kaiju monster, and he washes up in Thylea, and he's like, "This shit's Dungeons and Dragons," and people are like, "That man is insane." And he just goes around metagaming fucking everything. And he would
do that, Crash.
Yep, and he would be an Odyssean rogue because that'd be the best way to explain all the metagaming, and then I would just give him all the knowledge skills. He wouldn't have any combat capabilities whatsoever, but he'd have every single knowledge skill, so he could explain away all his metagaming. So, and that's
Like, do you want me to DM it?
No, but that is the character I've been sitting on for a while. I was like, yeah, that would totally work for this campaign. So, yep. He doesn't believe in the gods because obviously they're all thought constructs. Yeah. So,
Iconoclast.
Yep. So he'd be an iconoclast. Yep. Oh man, it'd be so cool. Oh well. Let's see. What else? Those of you who are familiar with the beginning of the adventure, I have changed some stuff, so hopefully it will still surprise you.
Oh
God! What more gelatinous cubes?
Yeah, full admission. I did watch when I was following along for a while before this other one was announced, but. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry.
I actually played. I played a little bit as well, so I only played a little bit of the beginning as well. So
it's all right.
Yeah, it'll be
Hypatia had played in a previous game that didn't work out, and she did a good job of not knowing about stuff, but. I tried to spice things up a little bit just for her, but there's enough people I think that know about the earlier stuff of this that I've tried to revamp some of the earlier stuff. So, Add to that the Giffyglyph stuff and the change in the timeline and everything. Also, I don't know if any measurements are listed in the player's guide, but I have scaled up the world. So as written, Thylea is like the size of Rhode Island or some shit. So I've made it significantly larger. So a distance like as written going from Sour Vintage to Astoria takes like less than a day. But now it takes like 3 days.
More camping.
Yeah, so I definitely
Awesome.
I definitely scaled out the world a bit to make sure that there was a bit more travel. The ocean stuff is because the shit's always moving around anyways. That's got its own system for travel, but again, that's much later in the campaign. So, all right. Do you have any questions like what would my characters know, what would they not know, or do you feel like between the player's guide and the questions I've answered, you feel pretty good? Do you have any questions about curses, oaths, the pact of peace? Those are questions that people ask a lot about.
I've got questions about Tritons. So originally we were going for Tritons to be a settler race, but then we decided to be a native, but natives that like quote defected.
Yeah. So basically, Sidon controls the ocean. So obviously, if you live with the ocean, you would need to be pro Sidon. But Tritons as a species are generally lawful good. Like they're kind of the Captain Americas of the ocean. So it seems very hard to believe that the Tritons as a species could continue to hang with Sidon after some of the shit that they've seen Sidon do. That being said, it'd be a tough life to live in the man's ocean and not respect the man. You know what I mean? But given your epic path, I mean, that could kind of make sense, right? You're cursed, right? Or are you haunted? Andronikos, you there?
Yeah, I'm haunted.
Yeah, haunted, right? So that could make a lot of sense. Like when you guys made your declaration that you, yeah, and then everybody was gone, kind of deal. I don't know how deep you want to go. I don't know if you want to do like not just your family, but like your people. Like when you made that decision, we're just like, phew, that's it. Because that could be pretty cool too. I mean, I kind of, do you have thoughts on that one? Were you thinking like just your immediate family, your entire tribe, or settlement, or like you want to go big?
Interesting if like anyone that had truly defected.
Oh, okay.
It had just started to disappear. But the people that like were either on the fence or were still on like in the Sidon camp or still there.
Okay. Because keep in mind, the people that vanish as a result of this, you are the only one that can remember them. Yeah, like no one else, can remember them at all.
All my bros in Atlantis.
Yeah. That's pretty cool because of the post campaign. There's some underwater shit that goes down too, so that'd be kind of cool. So, yeah, I like the idea. Yeah, I like the idea that some of them, some of the Tritons were like, we can't support this guy anymore. He's taken it too far, sort of thing. But for the most part, yeah. I mean, even a species that's normally lawful good, you live in this dude's ocean. The dude controls the entire ocean of this world. So it'd be very hard to stand against somebody like that when you kind of need.
I also wanted to know if so. Mitros is like a coastal city, right?
Yeah. Mitros is coastal. Yep.
Okay, so do they have like those sweet above ground and underwater houses for Triton?
Oh, that's rad.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Okay.
That's mostly what I wanted out of this character.
You want a nice ocean front property?
Nice.
You have a forever living room.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Any
I guess
other?
I have a.
Oh yeah.
I guess I have a question about druids and like the old wood and the druids that live there and all that stuff.
Right. Right.
So there's not really that much in like the player's guide about them, other than they just hang out the old wood and do sacrifices to to Thylea because they don't agree with the settlers. So I'm trying to figure out like I know one of the things was one of the backgrounds they put in the player's guide was the centaur mystic, which is like a centaur druid who like goes between settlements and like tries to be like a liaison between the two. So I was kind of going with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so the druids of the old wood, they are a combination of settlers and natives, and you played Worlds of Warcraft, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how the druids are like their own shit, right? Like
Emerald Enclave.
Right,
Yeah,
right, right.
Enclave
Yeah,
and all that
yeah,
stuff, yeah.
they're their own shit. Like they pull members from all factions, and they're unified in their care of Thylea herself, and they are still a part of their. Sorry, they're still a part of their primary culture, right? And the idea is that because they're a part of their primary culture, they could take those teachings with them, right, back to that primary culture and be like, hey, like, wouldn't it be cool if we built this new road over here instead of chopping down all these ancient trees to do so? And they basically try to serve the agenda of the circle of sacrifice uh, throughout the world. Again, that's why there's sort of a mistrust of them, because just like the druids of the Emerald Enclave in WoW, how do I trust my Tauren friend when I know he hangs out with those night elves? I know the night elves they're no good. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but he's a Tauren. He's obviously a horde bro. But how am I supposed to know for sure? That's kind of the thing. They have to live literally between worlds. Their main thing though is just the care of the world, which is the world is the body of Thylea. Like everywhere you look, that is her body. Like she is literally the world. Yeah. So their stewardship is and sacrifices and all that. They're not just for show. Like the planet really is alive. It really is a being, and they really are in the service of that being. That being said, how do they function alignment wise? Again, there's not really a clear definition of good and evil. I would say that if you just took a random druid of the Circle of Sacrifice and you were like, if we had to kill 10 human settler children to save 100 trees, what would we do? They would kill the 10 settler children. Because to them, the trees have the same value that the human children would have. Because if not, the trees possibly having more value. That being said, Thylea is believed to care for the settlers and love the settlers. So that is another reason why they sort of walk between both worlds and try to get the cultures to get along. Because it is said that Thylea welcomed the settlers and didn't reject them, basically. And so they are considered her children, just like the natives. Yeah, just like the natives are.
Okay, I think it kind of worked out. That worked out well with the background and everything I picked from the character.
Yeah,
I think so.
But for the most part, they really aren't very like super developed in the game, other than the information I just gave you. But since you're playing as one, they will get developed. Yeah, because
that will be yeah. Okay, I get it. All right.
Because again, 600-page adventure, but most of it is not actual world building. It's really just a 600-page adventure. There's that much adventure. It's kind of bananas. So, all right. Any other questions?
So I do have some stuff. I want to kind of let everyone else go because I'm gonna go on. Like we have 45 more minutes, and I plan on just soaking that up.
Okay.
So anybody else before I rant?
No, maybe your rant is useful.
Okay, good. No, that's fine. I didn't want to take up. Yeah.
Real quick before you
See, I knew it.
Okay.
rant, Ari,
Yeah.
do we want to kind of figure out any bookkeeping type rules within the party now, or are we just gonna figure it out as we go?
That's a good question. That's a good session 0 question. Party roles.
Like, do we need an accountant? Do we need? I know we kind of sorted out certain rules on the spreadsheet. Like it would make sense that Andronicus and Julian would be sort of co-faces, depending on the situation. I'm not quite sure of how Andronicus feels about, lying and such. But I mean, does someone want to be treasurer? Do we want to,
like, especially with for the October World patch, Andronicus is much more of the charm, because it's all like I only have, I guess I have proficiency in intimidation too, but it's my highest skill is charisma.
I'm a sorcerer, so I'm the same way.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because you have a native face and you have a settler face. If you wanted to play to that,
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I, Ari, don't have a problem being the treasurer. Sibo would probably be. It would be weird for him to be in charge of money, though. But if we could figure that out, I don't have a problem.
Why would it be weird for Sibo to be in charge of money? Are you dishonest or?
No. It's just he's just not very good with money. He doesn't care about it.
Oh, yeah.
But that's why it's perfect, because if you don't care about it, it's one of the. Well, let me couch that with some context. If you don't care about it in terms of spending it, then you're perfect.
Yeah, no, I mean,
now, if you don't care about it in the context of this doesn't do anything for me, why are you giving me this stuff? Toss.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I've been keeping track of it. It's still 0. I keep throwing it away. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Oh, I mean, you could do either in Foundry, or if you wanted 24/7 access to it, you could do a shared Google document, like a Google spreadsheet, and just track it there. That's what I normally do if I'm in a group that is tracking stuff like that. I would say if we had 24/7 access to the server, like you could just make a journal tab or something in here to keep track of it. But because I got to share my Foundry server with 5 games essentially, I can't guarantee that it's always going to be set to any particular game. Yeah, chat points out you might want to also consider a charter of some kind. Now this would be super meta because your party wouldn't be fully formed until later, but having a charter planned out ahead of time that the players have all agreed to is never a bad idea. Even if the charter,
percentage to the group.
Exactly. Group funds versus personal funds, how you handle expensive recoveries, because again, there's going to be injuries and stuff in this that could be very pricey to come back from. Certain classes are fueled by money, like wizards and rogue thief, and archers that use special ammo and stuff like that. So do those characters have to pay for those things, or are those costs supplemented by the group, and so on and so forth?
Are we keeping track of our ammo in this campaign?
Foundry actually auto tracks that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll just equip it essentially to your bow, and then whenever you fire your bow, it'll just subtract from the ammo. Again, for the most part, ammo's pretty cheap and can be remade pretty easily. It's going to be the special ammo that you're going to want to keep track of. There is a mod installed that should help with tracking ammo. I can't ever see it as a DM, but down at the bottom of your screen by your Warcraft bar, there should be something that you can set up to track your ammo.
Yeah, for it to show up, you have to have something that uses ammo first.
Yeah, you have to have a bow or a crossbow or a gun or something equipped, and then it'll say, "Hey, here's the ammo you could use with this thing."
Like consumable resource. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that'll show up at the bottom of the screen if you have it. So, okay.
But yeah, I'll go treasure, no problem.
You may also want to discuss, since crafting is going to be a thing, you might want to pool your crafting resources based on the crafting document and figure out like if you have any areas that are lacking. If you want to be able to craft everything that's craftable, you might want to like kind of get together and be like, hey, maybe somebody could take this skill instead, kind of thing, to make sure you cover the whole spectrum.
Will there be during downtime ways to like learn more tool proficiencies?
Yeah, that's what we have the downtime mod for, that could track increments or whatever. So this thing's gonna go on for quite a while. I was gonna set this campaign a year ahead of the year that the Pact of Peace ends, because I think it's gonna take that much longer with week-long long rests and stuff. I think it's gonna take that much longer to go through the game. Yeah.
So with the update, we're allowed to swap out tool skills with a different tool skill.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna swap my. I'm swapping my
Ain't
playing
no
card set
no
with,
racist. Ain't no racist no more. So yeah, that's right.
I think I'll pick up Smith's tools then. Keep weapons in check.
Some of these.
I also have mending.
In land vehicles, do we think that'll be useful, or do I want to swap that to something else?
Well, if you want to participate in the great games and win Kyra Kart racing, then yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you have land vehicles. Land vehicles is chariots in this setting. In addition to wagons and.
But actually, I have the athlete background, so actually that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. And nobody has tried to do this, but I guess if you could afford to buy one and you wanted to buy a chariot, as long as you had something to pull it, they could ride around in a chariot. I mean, there's roads. That's what chariots are for. Yeah,
I'm gonna find one of these famed heavy-set unicorns to pull our chariot.
Oh God.
Yeah, rhinoceros is actually the chosen mount of the Amazons in this setting.
Oh man!
Oh wow!
Yep. Which now that you call them unicorns makes even more sense. Because unicorns traditionally only like ladies to ride on them. So I guess a rhino is an Amazonian unicorn.
The lore writes itself.
That is one of the nice things about the lore being underdeveloped. Like, they give you just enough to be like, wow, what an interesting, unique world. And then you're like, where's the rest? And then it's like the end of an N6 or a Super Nintendo game, and it's like, and you. And it's like, oh, I see. I have to make up the lore. I have to figure out what this fucking random town is. Thanks a lot. But yeah, look at all these random towns. I never noticed these. The whole time I was like running the Monday game, I never looked at the map hard enough to notice that this elephant was cut in half, or that there were little tent cities and like towns and stuff. Yeah, I don't know what any of these places are.
Even big one right there.
Yeah, they don't like play into the adventure at all. So, but they could. That's the thing. Yeah, they could. So that'd be kind of cool. All right. Any other questions, David?
No, I just wanted to. I guess if we want to take some time and think of charter components, if we want to go that route. But I mean, I think we're all seasoned enough where we can, have
do it live.
Honestly, the best.
Well, not so much do it live, but like, Will Wheaton's rule: don't be a dick. And
yeah.
What percentage we need to, put towards the party.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you guys
I don't know.
strike me as a group that if you found an item, you guys would be able to decide as a group who would best benefit from that item, and then you'd give the person that item and move on with your lives. But there are groups that the appearance of any magical item brings out Gollum. It's Gollum Fest. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's why you want to have charters. I think where tension might rise is if you guys manage to find a creature that drops a fate point. How are you gonna do, only one person gets that fate point? Do you give it to the person that plays the sloppiest? Do you give it to the person that tanks all the time because they're most likely to get killed? Like, how do you determine who gets that stuff? So there are going to be
The person that can revive.
there are going to be items
that's
like that
good,
that are so precious that it's going to be a lot harder to make decisions on that stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah, we
I'm
have
sort
a
of
week.
thinking back to the charter that was in
Storm Kings.
Storm King's Thunder, and some of the finder points on it we ended up not really using because we talked most things out.
Well, the best part about a good charter is that if you have a good enough party, you never need the charter. Like, the charter is there to settle disputes and give guidance when you run into sticky situations. You know what I mean? Yeah, like somebody does something stupid, they get their arm chopped off by a trap, and then they're like, we need to buy me, we need to, yeah, we need to get a regeneration for my arm. Well, the regeneration is going to cost thousands of gold. Like, and the party's like, cool, spend your money to get a regeneration. And the person's like, but I lost my arm in the service to this party. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, if it's not covered in the charter, right? Like, I guess
I want healthcare, all right?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds silly, but being an adventurer, I mean, it's a business. You know, it's a business.
Skip the dental, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I didn't really get into charters. I didn't really get into charters until Hackmaster. But yeah.
We should bring in Acquisitions Incorporated roles into Thylea.
Honestly, I liked a lot of the Acquisitions Incorporated stuff. I just feel like they didn't like really playtest the math out too much on a lot of that stuff.
Oh God, yes. Some of those encounters.
Yeah. Well, not just the encounters, but even like if you do well on this check, you get like a such and such percent discount. But if you had a good enough month of checks, we had good enough months of checks that if we spent money, we actually were paid money for spending money because that's how bad the math was. Yeah.
You had the 170% discount.
Yeah. Yeah, we did so good one month that anytime we spent 100 gold, we got 70 gold back or something.
Damn, no, that is some proper capitalism right there.
Yeah, and it was funny, and it was some good lulls. And
here's the thing: is that fits the Acquisitions Incorporated setting perfectly.
Right, but we were like, what could we take from this for like the Paradise Vale house system and stuff like that? And like Wes and I were like, nothing? Question mark? Yeah, because like we can't have people like generating money by spending money. That's ridiculous. But it wasn't ridiculous for our campaign because it's at a point where it's so goofball. It's finally feeling very Acquisitions Incorporated, which is cool. But all right. But yeah, that's something that you might want to work out. At least the biggest sore spots during the thing. Also worth mentioning, in the player's guide, one of the criticisms that I think it gets from DMs is that it just tells people like, yo dog, sign up for this path because you're gonna get a super cool magic item. And then people are like, I wanted to do that path, but I don't want the super cool magical item that has nothing to do with my character or my class or whatever. Don't believe any of that shit. Those are all guidelines. Those are all guidelines. So when it says like you're gonna get a Ion Stone of Awareness and a Helm of Brilliance, like you might get those things, you might not. I'm gonna closer to the time of these things dropping. I would reach out to you and be like, "Yo, is this something that would actually be beneficial to your character?" Kind of deal.
When I was looking at the Dragon Slayer and you get like fire resistant armor. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, like this is if you have no idea who your players are gonna be, kind of deal. It's like these are examples of stuff that would make sense for this, but once you're kind of having a character kind of situated, we could start to look at things that would be beneficial for your build, beneficial for your character. And I kind of like the idea of some of this stuff being things that you craft as you fulfill your epic destiny. You kind of gain the pieces of the thing that you need as you kind of move through it, right?
Yeah, I like
So
that.
some of them are story based, like you get MacGuffin X for completing task Y because NPC Z, wanted you to have it. But some of them would be much better if they were something you slowly unlocked as you go through the game. So, yeah. I don't even think they tell you on the gifted one what magic items they get, do they?
No, they do.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was sort of incidental.
Oh, yeah. Theirs are listed a little bit differently. You get an instant fortress, Crowd of the Dragonlord, let's see, a dragon egg. Yeah. Meanwhile, these people over here are basically getting a Toys R Us shopping spree at Magic Item Store. So, yeah. They're definitely different. Yeah. They're different than what's they're
one because it was like I want to play gambler. I don't know why, but I want to play a gambler. The gifted one seems to work.
That'll be good. And we got a cool macro now for Game of 20 Squares, so we don't actually have to spend 3 hours playing Game of 20 Squares. We could just hit a macro button and be done with it. So
I had a thing about that when I saw it. I was like, what if you roll them both as blind, and like you have to role play out like 5 rounds, and you just I want to use perception. The other person says I want to use deception, and if you Jim sees which one won, and then you just say which one won that one round.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, if you're playing against each other, kind of thing. Plus, there's certain. It sounds crazy, but it's kind of like the Gwent of this setting. Like all the major NPCs play Game of 20 Squares.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So if that's like a character goal, to play all of the gods at Game of 20 Squares, that is something you could actually do in this campaign. So.
Well, it's a goal now.
Yeah.
It's a goal now. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, either Foundry related or otherwise, that I need to make sure you guys know about. Fame is mentioned in the player's handbook. It is a system. They do give you a little chart here that specifically, video games out what fame does. Page 21 of your thing. This is also a bit vague-ish. I am using it, but I'm not using it as mathematically as this table. But like the Monday group, for example, they are already at the level of free food, like 6, I think, like free food and lodging and things like that, because they're well known enough that wherever they go, people know about them, kind of thing. But this fame stuff gets pretty bananas. Like eventually you get people that worship you, that give you stuff. You get free presents all the time, free magic items. They just bring you money. I would say that's completely unbelievable, but there's celebrities that just go onto Twitter and are like, "Send me money," and then people do. So it's very much real. It's very much real.
There's streamers that do that.
My favorite is when Pete Davidson was like, "Yeah, Ariana." It was just like when on Twitter was like, "I want a pig," and like an hour later there was a pig.
Yep. Yeah. So I think at level, or not level, but fame point 15, you get your own priest. at each of your shrines.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, you have shrines built for you. It starts to get pretty crazy.
So we do eventually get a healthcare plan.
Yeah. Let's see. The weapons: Copus, Chakram, Dorata, the Makira, and the Xiphos. They are pretty much mechanically just the same as what you would normally expect. The Chakram being the only odd duck in the mix. Chakram basically being a cool boomerang. Let's see. What else?
Just a martial weapon?
Yep, it's just a martial weapon.
Uh-huh.
There's no exotic. Yeah, there's no exotic weapons in 5e. So
I could use a chakram with one hand, couldn't I?
you could. You could.
Because I was thinking, I was like, I can't use a fucking crossbow.
A chakram is also a melee weapon and a thrown weapon. So you don't have to worry about it. Wouldn't impact your quick slots as badly either.
That is pretty sick. All right, yeah. I'll have to see about picking that up once we start, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I can't start with that.
I mean, you could bullshit it that you have access to one. They're listed under the weapons and armor section.
I don't think my dude would have one.
Yeah, they are the chosen weapon, obviously, of the Amazonians.
Oh, okay. When I pick up my unicorn, we'll.
Let's see what else is going on here. Thailand backstories, myths, curses. Let's see. This gets asked. The curses. So if I get cursed to be a harpy, why is that bad? Because now I'll be a harpy and I'll have a flight speed. So being cursed to be a harpy seems good. Similar to other curses in other games, there will be a threshold that you will eventually cross while you are cursed, that you will no longer be a playable character. So if you cross that, yeah, so someone in this group could tell you they never made it to that threshold, but they were a were-rat, and that is a cursed condition, and it is super powerful. It's very cool. But it can fuck up your life. It can fuck up your life, and yeah. And here's the thing: like, it can be a lot of fun, but as the curse continues to take hold, I will put more and more pressure on you. There'll be more and more saves to make.
I got more and more were-ratty as it went on.
Right.
My own party thought it was probably going to be a liability pretty soon.
Yeah, so that's what the like, I'm not gonna immediately take away your character if you end up with a curse. For example, someone might even be a Medusa. I don't know. It could happen. Now that's a trick. That's a slippery slope because that's a curse, but it's also a playable race. Question mark. Minotaurs are technically a cursed race, but they are also bred true. So that's why I have two different Minotaurs that you could play as. You could play as the cursed Minotaur, so you were a person that was turned into a Minotaur, or you could play as a Minotaur using the standard Minotaur stats, not the Thylean ones. And that's a Minotaur that your parents were Minotaurs, you were born a Minotaur, raised a Minotaur, Minotaur life. But all of these curses, they eventually push you past the threshold. So even the party's Medusa is in danger of, I can never pronounce it correctly, becoming a Urale. Let me see if I got the spelling here.
Urethra.
Urale Medusa. Oh man, I can never pronounce it properly. It's Euyale. Urale? I think
Uriel. Oh no, Uriela.
Uriel. Okay, Uriel. So Uriel Medusa is the Medusa that has the snake lower body, and they're like a large creature, and they're just super monstrous or whatever. Eventually, any Medusa can succumb to their curse to the point that they become like a full-on monster, like super monster, and at that point they are no longer a playable character. So giving into stuff like turning people to stone and cruelty and jealousy and the traits of a Medusa, that pushes you more and more towards that bestial, irredeemable form, essentially. Which is part of why even quote unquote normal Medusas are dealt with so much distrust and prejudice, because at any time they could just snap, essentially. Grave robbing, it's a serious thing. You guys do live in the world, so everybody but Sibo would be pretty knowledgeable about what qualifies as grave robbing and what doesn't. Again, whenever you're in doubt, please say, would my character know this before you act, because you can call upon your character knowledge as needed.
Looting a corpse versus ransacking a hollowed crypt or something like that.
Right. Consecrated, sacred grounds, people that were buried properly, things like that, don't rob them. Bandits attack you and you kill the bandits, you can take the bandit stuff. Would it be more respectful to bury the bandits with their equipment? Sure. If you're trying to live, if you're trying to live a Thylean, lawful good character, you would totally murder those dudes in the street, but then give them a proper burial. It's very complicated culture, I guess.
Yeah, I like the pact of or what is it, the one where you can have dinner in an enemy's camp and they have to allow you in?
Guest friendship.
Oh yeah, there we go. I like that one. That seems pretty cool.
Yeah, guest friendship will come into play many times during the campaign. So be very knowledgeable of guest friendship. Let's see. Oath of Peace. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty standard. Oath of Protection. Do not make these curses or these oaths lightly. Oath of Service, even worse than Oath of Protection, because Oath of Service can be very open-ended, very evil genie on these things. Keep in mind, these oaths were invented by fey creatures, so they are very, very subject to evil genie. Very, very subject to evil genie. And they are enforced by invincible angels of death.
The Furies, right?
Yeah, the Furies. So there are going to be many people who will try to get you to swear oaths. They will not, you want to be careful about the oaths that you swear. On that same note, do not expect random NPCs to swear oaths just because you want to feel more comfortable. They are also denizens of the world, and they also understand how curses and oaths work, and they're not going to just lightly swear oaths to you. Yeah, because that's another thing that I hear from a lot of other DMs that run this campaign is their players are constantly trying to get people to swear oaths, because they can't trust anybody unless they swore an oath, and it's like, come on now, you can't trust anybody anyways. So, let's see. What else? We got the deities here. We already talked about the kingdoms. We talked about let's see, the history. Okay, so Oath of Peace. You're gonna run into shit in the game that's gonna make you say, "I thought there was an Oath of Peace. What the fuck's going on here?" So the Oath of Peace was sworn between the gods. Okay? So the gods can't fight each other, but the servants of the gods can do whatever the hell they want. So it's a tricky situation, right? So people that worship Sidon might get overzealous and fight with people that worship Pythor. As long as Pythor doesn't get involved, and as long as Sidon doesn't get involved, the Pact of Peace has not been broken. Sidon might get mad because somebody was talking shit about him, and he'll strike him with lightning and kill him. It doesn't matter that that guy who was talking shit was a priest of the five gods. He wasn't one of the five gods. Okay. So you're gonna see that a lot. You're gonna see like mortals killing each other, mortals beating each other up, and you're gonna be like, I thought we were in a pact of peace. The gods are in a pact of peace. The mortals are not included in that. Now, obviously, the mortals don't want to go to war without their gods, so that's that. That being said, the mortals have gone to war because Mitros and Eregia have gone to war many times over the last 500 years. So again, there is a pact of peace, but that doesn't mean that people are peaceful. It means that the gods have agreed not to fight each other. That's all it means. So to kind of clear that up before we even get into the game, because that's a frequently asked question by players of this campaign is, why is everybody fighting if there's a pact of peace? Yeah, why should we be afraid of the Titans? They can't hurt us. Oh, they can hurt you. They can hurt you very badly. That
Peace is relative, and there's a way to come at anyone sideways.
I saw a certain entry in the was it the mausoleum that raised some eyebrows.
Yes, yeah. So the Titans, yeah. They are not afraid. They are also, the Titans, more like Fae than any other creature. So they will definitely evil genie anything. Anything that they can get away with, they're going to evil genie that. So, because the gods might be like, you destroyed my city. That seems like an act of aggression. It's like, no, that was an earthquake that destroyed your city. Am I an earthquake? Are you saying my mom destroyed your city? I mean, what are you trying to say there? And these poor, 5 gods who are foreigners in a strange land are like, I guess I don't know what I'm saying. It sucks. It sucks for them. They're in a bad situation. They do not have the home field advantage. So, let's see. I want to make sure I got anything else here. Temple of the Five, Centurions of Mitros, Academy of Mitros, Temple of the Oracle, Druids of the Oldwood, Order Sidon, Cult of the Snake, Lost Tribe of the Geigen, Centaurs of Depths, Raving Ones. You definitely don't want to be affiliated with the Raving Ones. That would be a bad situation. Let's see.
The insane satyrs.
Well, there's these creatures called Maenads. You guys would be aware as denizens of the world what Maenads are. Maenads are really strong. They are Fey touched women. The mothers of goatlings. And all of their combat is based around being insane and making other people insane. And they are also favored of Lutheria. So that's a whole thing. Let's see. Creation, names, backstories, equipment. Yeah, I think we've covered everything. All right. Cool.
What would be like, so for the Centurions of Mitros' army, what would be their like day-to-day things that they're fighting? Would that be the Maenads or the Geigens, I guess? Even though not really too many of those left, I guess.
Honestly, down here in Mitros, you're in between wars right now with the Eregians, but most of the fighting that soldiers of Mitros do is against the Eregians. They go to war and then they stop, and then they go to war some more and they stop. I think it's mostly for the economy, honestly. Yeah. Another thing that they do is they fight pirates. There's a lot of pirates. So they have to deal with pirates. Sometimes, like, Fae will get rowdy and, cause problems, and they have to go into the Oldwood and fight Fae. But honestly, you're far enough south in Mitros from the Northlands that you don't have to worry about the barbarians, the Geigens, the centaurs, any of that kind of shit. All of this area is all claimed by settlers. So you basically just police that. You're kind of just policing your own people right now. Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, there's no great war being fought right now. There's no great enemy. So you're kind of in like the peacetime soldier mode. So it's just sort of routine military police kind of stuff. So, depending on how old you are, though, you could have taken part in the last Eregian War. which are always pretty nasty.
Grandfather.
Mm.
Not filling the grandfather role.
Yeah, we don't want
Dude, don't knock it till you try it. There's so many
it. And granddaddy issues. Yeah. Let's see what else. Mythic heroism, and then sexy character sheet. Okay. Yep, we've covered it all. That's everybody.